What's happening? Benton here, going live once again. What else am I to do? Looks like I'm falling through the cracks here at the truck driving company, at my company rather. I'm not sure. I guess my dispatcher has fallen ill. My company rather. Oh, hey, here we go. Good deal. Yeah, I'm using my fancy mixer and my fancy mic. I went back and listened to this morning's live stream briefly and noticed that it sounds like I'm actually on the phone mic, much to my chagrin, since I have some equipment that I spent money on, rather. And I'm not sure who's around this time of the day, as I'm generally not live. Um, but I may have the weekend off. I'm really not sure. Hey, what's happening, Ginger Reg? Good to see you. And I've been having, I just get these ideas or these epiphanies that come to me, these concepts that I don't always know what they mean. I don't always understand the application of the context, but I've been thinking about two terms, ad hoc and also grassroots. What's up, Glenn? Good to see you, bro. Music holds a secret. What's up, Jake? Oh yeah, Jake's on the list. I was trying to make a list of, and if you see the title of the video, uh, grassroots would be community development from the ground up. That would be one connotation of the term grassroots. So as much as I'm resistant to the term community, been having this idea of ad hoc, which is created or done for a particular purpose as necessary, which seems to be what I am doing here, or perhaps we together are doing. And then grassroots, the most basic level of an activity or organization. And then it says ordinary people. Grassroots would also be, this is, I think, why I've been thinking of this term. Ordinary people regarded as the main body of an organization's membership. But then I guess that would be on an ad hoc basis, created or done for a particular purpose as necessary. I think. I'm not exactly sure, but I've been trying to make a list of who would be the people that would represent the most basic level of this activity or organization, if that's even appropriate. And Jake, thank you for popping in, because Jake would certainly be on the list. Andrew, that's who we're missing. He used to be around a lot. I must have, what did I do with Andrew? He had the funny face. His PFP was a funny face. Anybody remembers? Good to see you. Music holds a secret, as always. Chuck in Tennessee, shout out, brother. Yes, indeed. I just made some notes here. I mainly wanted to whine and cry, because I do use this as my, some things I need to get off my chest sometimes. Amazon, man, they screwed me with this computer, man. Especially if I end up having the entire weekend off. Now, my company, hey, Christos, good to see you, brother. My company may get their head out of their ass and actually give me a load today. So what happened was I heard nothing from my dispatcher yesterday. So today, it's like I have this need to maintain it like in good standing. And I knew if I just sat around doing nothing all weekend, and then Monday, the company would probably wonder, well, like, why'd this guy just sit around all weekend when he could have worked? I think it would seem strange to the company. So I called. I just assumed possibly my dispatcher was not working today, possibly because of illness, which is what happened. So I talked to the company, and they tried to send me to Reno, Nevada, but the best route to Reno is through California. I don't go to California, and they also said it had 3 drops. I'm not really interested in 3 different live unloads. Not really interested in that. So, and that the pickup was like at 11 today, which actually that's early enough. But since I don't work, since with my schedule, since I like to go to bed early and wake up around midnight, I don't think they'll be able to find me anything today. But we do have dedicated freight on preloaded trailers, so if they're smart, they'll just give me one of those loads, which means I'll probably be off today and then possibly tomorrow as well. But I would not give them credit for being smart, so we'll see what happens. Amazon, man, dude, and I had it out with them in the chat, the actual chat assistant. But I was chatting with with numerous agents. Then I called in, completely different story, just totally different story. The whoever it was, like the people that you live chat with versus the people that you talk to on the phone, completely different approach. So I believe tomorrow morning I will be able to call Amazon and have my money refunded to my gift card, and then when the company tells me where I'm going, then I should be able to attempt to have this computer shipped to me once again. I'm pretty sure somebody just stuck it in their pocket. What's that? What's with the Prime thing? Music holds a secret. Are they? Because for a long time they used to get me. They would entice me into doing these like weekly trials for like $2, so I would save on the shipping. Um, Now there's certain times when I like Prime because of the like same day or the next day shipping. But I think I'm better off without it, just paying the shipping. It seems like the orders are late. It seems like they're more on time when I actually pay for the shipping versus the Amazon Prime. I've had a lot of problems. No, these were real people. First, you get to the real person through the chat bot. Although, would we even be able to tell the difference? But the fact is, a human being most likely. So what they kept saying was I had to wait for the item to be returned to the return center to get a refund. I'm like, it's never going to be returned. Somebody stole it. I'm like, it was last scanned at an Amazon warehouse. Like, what are you talking about? But I guess that's kind of what I mean when I say there's no such thing as common sense. Like, finally, they just disconnected. They were like, well, this is obviously going nowhere. So they just finally just hung up on me. But then I called in. They're like, yeah, just call us in the morning and we'll give you a refund. We just, we need to give it one more day, which is reasonable. That's reasonable. These fools wanted me to wait till like March the 16th in the chat assist, whatever that was on the app. It's crazy. And Amazon used to have top-notch customer service, and I can see now that it seems like now that they've got their market share and they're the big boy, you can see it going south now. That's weird. Music holds a secret. That's very strange. I don't know what that's all about. Hmm. And I am noticing a lot of just strange, unexplained things happening with their app lately. Well, and I order so much. I mean, I didn't never wanted Prime, but I make so many orders, and I do need them to arrive at certain Amazon lockers at a certain time because of the nature of my job. But yeah, if I just lived in a house, I would just wait for the free shipping. I wouldn't be involved in Prime either. And even then, before I had Prime, when I just paid for the shipping, it seemed like it was way more. Seemed like it was way more dependable. There we go, dependable. But yeah, I'm good. Glenn, how are you, sir? Good to see you around. Good to see everybody. Yeah, exactly. Well, and I don't think they care. See, this is what me and EBT had a conversation where we talked about a lot of different aspects of I don't remember too many live streams. I don't know where it was exactly, but it was on this channel, and that was part of what EBT and myself talked about, and that was a conversation that many people found interesting and seemed to enjoy, and that's what the DBC means at the bottom. Do do more Actually, it was supposed to be do better content, not do more content. I don't think the frequency is the problem. Well, that's supposed to be DBC. I'm not sure how I fucked that up, but that's supposed to be DBC, do better content. Because I am I've given myself the moniker content machine. Well, the machine's been running kind of rough lately. Yeah, every time you crank it up, it runs, but it's like the APU on this truck now. It sputters. It sputters when you first start it up. That's what I'm noticing with myself here lately. Hmm. Chanka Piedra, trying to break up these gallstones. That's what I got. Yeah, I don't even watch the TV part. I don't even know what they charge for it for Prime. I don't even know. That's part of one of the benefits of living in a truck and working. Usually, I work 7 days a week. Not lately, but I usually work 7 days a week. I don't really care what stuff costs, just because I don't. My income relative to my bills is so low, it really doesn't matter. But I don't want to just waste money, obviously. But yeah, exactly. Just I'm probably just gonna have to start. It's just I don't even want to Amazon. Anyway, I got notes. We got notes, y'all. hmm Well, then why I say they screwed me is I've had time, this morning I've been catching up on a lot of live stream replays that I haven't seen, or maybe like I saw part of like the most recent Get Chalked Up. I'm like halfway through it. Um, so what better time to just live stream me watching it, and then I can pause because I always have things to say, right? I almost don't want to watch the live streams now, the replays, because it's like I want to be able to respond. And if these bozos had actually done what they said they were going to do, then I would have my computer set up by now, most likely, and I would be uh, doing better content. So that's my goal here is to do better content. And I can really see that when I'm kind of on my game, people seem to respond to it pretty positively. But then I'm very critical and hard on myself, and when I see what's been going on, which happened to coincide with me being more ill than normal, is that people are not responding to the content, at the same level. So, and I am competitive on those levels, so I want to keep, I'm going to keep my game as high as possible. That's where you folks come in, because it's definitely a what was that, ad hoc grassroots? Yeah, created or done for a particular purpose as necessary. Well, it seems to me like in the context of this nightmare dystopian beast system, where increasingly, you know, many of the people who come to these channels, I'm assuming, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm assuming, those individuals, I hesitate to say we, but in the context of if I'm willing to consider this a uh, community meaning a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. I don't know about the goals so much, although in the context of social isolation, and I don't mean in the context of the events of the last several years, but just social isolation in general, which is already a thing before, whatever this thing is we're calling it. Can I even say the word? It seems like we can pretty much, it seems like YouTube is allowing, live streamers such as myself who aren't really monetized or making money or being pushed out by the algorithm. It seems like it's more or less just letting us say whatever we want, as far as I can tell. So maybe I can say pandemic. And I realize I never made my point there, and I do want to catch up on the chat. I got chastised a little bit this morning for not reading the chat, but I'm not. It's hard for me to keep up with the chat while I'm also running my yap. So I also need to look away to try to manage. I'm already getting there's this weird. I've spoken about it before. There's this weird like bleariness. It's partially visual, but it's very difficult to describe. But something about the live streaming. But I can sit around and play with my phone for hours, and I never get that. It's something specific to the live streaming. It seems maybe it's just the my bifocals, and that's if you saw I changed the thumbnail, it's like me with my head up because I think it's hilarious. I had just paused the screen, and you can tell I'm like I got my head back so I can look through my bifocals. Old man Benton here. All right. Well, maybe I can remember what point I was just trying to make, and we'll circle back. Oh, and see, that's one of the reasons why I knew something was wrong years ago, because I would enter like Amazon used to mostly be perfect, but when things did go awry, dude, they were just on top of it. You called somebody, they fucking took care of it, or you did the chat in the app, taken care of. Boom, here's your refund. Oh, just send it back. Whatever it was. Versus other companies, it's always uh, damn near impossible to get anything resolved. So I knew years ago. I said, this is something's wrong here. It's too good. Uh, so I think we're now starting to see that I believe that Amazon was just built up artificially, um, through various means. So it can't be just a real legitimate thing. There's no way. Hmm. Well, they can't all be bangers, Ginger Ridge. You're right, but at a certain point, I got to get my head out of my ass and get back to doing my thing here. So But see, that's yeah, exactly. Shout out to the chat. Amen. What point was I making? I went down a rabbit hole there, didn't I? What was I talking about? I can't remember. That is part of the fallout of all this drinking and my health woes is, dude, my short term memory's shot. Mm. I don't think it's coming back. I really don't. Not entirely. Maybe I'll look at the notes again. Something about community. Oh yeah, yeah, the isolation, social isolation. Um, so I think that seems to me like that's the common theme. That if I'm willing to call this a community, and I'm on the verge, I'm on the verge of being willing to refer to it as that. It is in the title. The word community is in the live stream title. Then I would base it on that. I want kind of wonder what you folks think. That's what I would say. It seems like that could be the common goal, right? If community is defined as a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals, the attitudes and interests seem to be similar. But then the goals, what would be the common goal? I would say to cope with social isolation, but not even in the context of this pandemic, which just made it much worse, obviously. But as a person who's interested in sociology and anthropology, I've noticed the trend, especially in the literature for several years, even before the pandemic, about how Americans are increasingly isolated. Um, so that seems to be what's going on here. I think that's what's going on. Ad hoc committee. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, yeah. Chat thugs. Exactly. Keyboard warriors, but not in the pejorative sense necessarily. I mean, that is a thing, right? A keyboard warrior. I think that's been said. That's been used in the past to mean like someone who can only fight with their words, right? But it seems to me like the physical is just that's gone. Like that doesn't even seem relevant anymore. This idea of like actual fucking fisticuffs in the physical realm, other than like an actual content creator boxing, other than that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, which is a double-edged sword, right, Chuck? The advent of social media. Yeah, that's it certainly seems to be allowing people, and I'm sure I'm one of those people, to deal with their social isolation because when I was living in the streets for 6 straight years and off and on for about 10, I was actually, I had a lot of interactions with other human beings, in the physical realm. I absolutely did. And even had friends from time to time, made friends. And that's difficult to do, especially as a man of a certain age. I think many of us can agree that's a difficult and fraught with peril, you know. There you go. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, man, there you go, Rusty. Shout out to Rusty. Smackleford, yeah. I ain't fighting nobody, but I hear you. It's, society was arguably a little bit less bad, a little bit less nightmarish back when you might get punched in the mouth for something you said, something that you let escape your lips. Yeah, they call this the American dream because you got to be asleep to believe it. Well, and that's the theme, and I do think that's my banner on the channel, Nightmare Dystopia, because sometimes I go into these other live chats, these other live streams rather, like Z, and I do like aspects of Z's, Zetetic Warrior. Um, I like aspects of what I see him doing over there, but he hasn't been able to hold my interest for an entire show yet. I think he's getting there, though. I think he will get there. Um, and just like me doing this live stream, it's my job to keep people's interest. Who is this? Is this Christos? Baby Jesus. Baby Jesus.
Wait, so it shows baby Jesus when I come in?
Yes, sir.
Really?
Well, I think that's
Does it say
probably your.
Christos at all?
It does now. I think that's the backstage. It says Baby Jesus.
Okay, it does that because like
Yeah.
the YouTube or Google account. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a boomer. I'm not smart enough to have known that was the problem. But you see how quickly I've figured it out. So
Well, I'm
that
glad you
says
told me that
something
because
about
people have
it.
said it in the past, I think, and it didn't happen all the time, but it happens sometimes, and I wasn't sure if that was coming through as like a username before I entered the the lobby or the room. So, well, that's good to know. Yeah, it's people always called me Jesus. Like growing up, like when I was in high school, I started growing my hair out, and it was just like the super stereotypical cliche thing like people do, and they don't think, oh, this person's probably been called this 20 times before, but I'm gonna say it anyway and be cute about it. I didn't care. It wasn't like it bothered me, but
It's very
I just
predictable. Very
played
predictable.
into it.
Yeah, there's
It was
something
a,
annoying about that
go
level
ahead.
of being well, there's something annoying about that level of somebody being predictable. I think it says a lot about the person when they're that predictable. But they don't know that they're predictable. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Hey. Yeah. Thank you, sir. What are you getting up to? What are you getting into today, Christos? Christos hanging out. I haven't quite adapted to Christos' style of
Hey, hold on.
hanging.
I gotta plug in my phone. It's dying.
Okay. Yeah. Rest in peace, headphone user, by the way.
My bad.
Hey, I gotta mute you. Oh, he muted himself. Okay. Never mind. Anyway, apologies. That happens. Bad Barney. Bad Barney says he thinks that these communities, in quotes, should be focusing on teaching, concentrating on people knowing their rights and freedoms that they have and have been taken. These get past a lot of people's thoughts. I definitely agree with you, Bad Barney. I think there's still room for people who want to hang out socially and get past their, to deal necessarily with their social isolation. That's more or less a social problem at this point, I would say. But you're absolutely right, and I would say that Paul Enslaved seems to be doing the best job of serving that need. Um, so I would direct people there, and I'm frequently there, as you may have noticed myself. Oh, cool. Well, and that's another thing is it seems like there's so much content nowadays, and we're so spread apart. Just we meaning the people who I frequently see the same type of people, the same names in the various live streams. So part of this, I think, is just you know like even whoever it is, whether it's Wizard or whoever, because Wizard keeps saying he has this site. If there was just like one very simple, almost like a Drudge Report style page, just throw up a fucking link and like here's the shit. Because it's very difficult, especially a lot of us are older, man. The younger folks I think seem to have a better handle on this, but for people my age and older, it's getting to where, dude, I can't keep track of all this stuff. It's just too much. It's too much, man. Yeah, see, I haven't even been over there yet, and it's damn near impossible to get people on the websites. And if Amazon ever manages to put this computer in my hands, if they ever manage to do what I paid them to do, uh, then I think I'm much more of a laptop well, I'm much more of a computer person than I am a phone person. So I think that will help me out. So yeah, that's Wizard. I definitely need to go to his site for sure. I want to go check it. I don't even know what he's got going on over there. Well, that's probably true, Barney. That's probably true to some extent. Um, yeah, there you go. Well, and I kind of suspected that, Barney. I didn't really want to. I didn't want to accuse you of that, but I had sort of suspected. Um, which that says something about Barney that he's on that level of chat interaction at his advanced age. So there's something between that. There's something between that fella's ears, right? Okay, 64 plus. And I'm sure Barney knows you come across a certain way to people initially. I've learned myself to sort of resist that thing where I'm immediately repelled by someone's chatting and just sort of and actually we got into it a little bit, Barney, but that was sort of that was more that was in the Yurt versus Paul context, really. So that was fair game at that point, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, but what's happened with me and Barney since then is just it's worth it. And same thing with Tommy on the channel. It's worth it sometimes to persist through, what initially may repel me about somebody. It can be worth it in the end if I'm even making a sense. I don't know. That's a good question. We do need to figure out. Somebody drop the link, maybe, or whatever. However this works. Well, Land of the Blinded, I actually considered that, but part of the problem is I used to be a computer expert, and my hobby used to be building computers and all of this, and I worked at a computer store, and I was really into computers, so I tend to want something very specific. But you're right. I'd consider just going to Walmart and just being like, what do they sell for $300, and just buying it. So that would actually, if I wanted to be live streaming and playing content and responding to it right now, that's what I should have done. Land of the Blinded. Yes, you are correct. That's what I should. It's too late now. I've got an LCD screen and a keyboard and a mouse. But yeah, I guess although if I bought a laptop, I guess the screen could be that could just be a second screen for the laptop. However, knowing me, I could go right now to the store and get a laptop, and then the company be like, okay, here's your assignment, and I'll end up working for a week straight and not even be able to turn the thing on. It's funny how that works, right? Well, thanks, Barney. I appreciate it, man. I'm trying not to let it turn into too much of a love fest, but with people like Barney around, it never will. So yeah, thanks. Feelings mutual. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm a dude. It's about to happen. It's just going to be like one trip a month to the natural grocers or something. And I'm just going to, if they don't have the brand I like, I'm just going to have to suck it up and deal with it. Part of what I like about Amazon is I'm able to try all these different brands that if I just wander into a health food store, even if I go somewhere like natural grocers that does have, I believe, the best combination of price and selection, I'm still not necessarily going to find what I want in there. Especially tinctures. Some of these tinctures, you're just not going to find them. And then with me, the Amazon locker, I don't have an address. You don't have a physical address, so I can't go to like 10 different. I could probably just use like 10 different online retailers, and to stand in for Amazon. Yeah, I hear you. Mine is a lot of my problem is the nature of my schedule. I'm more or less flying by the seat of my pants. If I end up having the whole weekend off, I had no advance warning of that. That's my issue. But dude, I worked so much. I worked all but 2 days in January. I worked so much. I've been busting my ass. I've been killing myself the whole time I've been working for this company. So with some breaks here and there. So dude, if I get some days off, I'm not even sweating it. But yeah, exactly. Make brick and mortar great again. Yeah. Well, that's true, Chuck. Yeah. Well, and my personal opinion is whatever, if I'm even willing, I'm just now willing to maybe call whatever we're doing over here a community. I think the problem that's being solved is us, the people who come here dealing with their social isolation and doing that through talking about ideas. And I certainly have a lot of content. I got a lot of content in here that I'm not going to be able to bring forth until I get a computer. So it's almost like I'm stalling for time doing a lot of this stuff on the phone and just having to sort of wing it. What's up, RT? Good to see you. RT also on the list. See, I'm making a list of the OGs around here. RT definitely on the list. Way more folks than I realized already. Oh, and I was catching up on this panel. I guess I don't need these right now. I was catching up on this panel where Ian's panel, right? We Are Awake. That's the channel, right? We Are Asleep, We Are Awake. I was catching up on that, and Paul was on there, and Talcott, and some old guy who was giving Paul a hard time, and I'm not even sure who that guy is, but some of these players, I don't know. And I think Provo Kid showed up at a certain point. Again, I would love to be able to live stream that because I really figured something out with the Paul Jack Talcott dynamic. I really figured something out that I would really want to be able to play the conversation in real time or the replay and then be able to pause it and point out what I think's going on. Thanks, Roy Duggan. I appreciate it. Yep, Crumley on the OG list. Absolutely. And it's not even a status. It's more of just me knowing who the heck has been around here. That's the grassroots, right? Because once it's built up, it can't really be grassroots anymore, can it? the most basic level of an activity or organization. At a certain point, we're beyond the basic level. So I think, I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure this shit out. Good to see you, Jessica Jane, mob wife, checking in. Amen. Best mod in the world, apparently. I'm told. Okay, Wizard's website. Where is it? He said, here it is. Where is it? He might not let him post a link. Jessica, do you know Wizard's website by any chance? Perchance? If you do, we're trying to link to Wizard's website, if possible. And I think I'm going to hopefully be working with Paul on some stuff here and there. I'm trying to figure out just exactly what I can bring to the table in that regard. So, and I'm feeling much better. It's amazing how quickly, you know, in the context of these health issues, just how quickly I can go downhill and then how quickly I can rebound. Like I'm feeling way fucking better than I was even this morning. There you go. That's true, dude. I mean, in a lot of ways, it was like I would go live and I'm like, well, I know I at least know I'll be talking to one person. You know, no matter what, I'm pretty sure that one person will be there. So that did help me keep going in the beginning for sure. Thank you, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. Yeah, but not just to make me feel good. I wanted to, you know, if you actually agree, that's what I wanted to hear. I feel like I'm on the money there with the social isolation. So for me personally, you know, if their problem solving ends up happening, that's fine. But what I notice in a lot of these panels, especially, is people, and I've talked about this before on the channel, where people they start out talking about philosophy or maybe ideology, but then also in the context of the nightmare dystopia, and this is where I was trying to be a little not even critical, but I was trying to make a point about Z, and I'll get back to that here shortly. But so that's all good because these people are making correct observations, but then it gets tied in with hope because you know we want to have hope. I think as people, like I think that's the human spirit is to be like, okay, we can recognize, you know, okay, I can recognize the problems, but then hope comes in, and now very quickly it seems like people go into problem solving and want to discuss potential solutions, which is okay, but you know, we are not the people who, you know, I'm not saying that nothing can be done, although I don't really think anything can be done. And I think a lot of the folks here would agree with that. But, you know, we're not the people who are going to be consulted by these corporations. And the corporations, they don't want to solve the problems anyway. As far as the corporations are concerned, I mean, everything's fine, right? From their perspective. I mean, it seems to me like with my trucking company, you know, as far as they're concerned, this is just everything's fine, everything's normal. This is just how it goes sometimes. And I'm glad to have the time off. A lot of truck drivers, you can't. I think the company's finally figured out, okay, if we just leave him in his truck for a couple of days, he's not going to quit. A lot of drivers just quit. They can't stand just being. They think they're stranded or something. Well, you're stranded, but you're in a truck with diesel fuel. I mean, how does that even work, right? Like hypothetically, I could just drive this motherfucker damn near anywhere I wanted to drive it, you know, within reason. Now, if I'm willing to pay for the fuel, I can basically drive it wherever I want. So yeah, imagine being a truck driver and thinking, oh, I'm stranded, but like it's a fucking big rig, man. What are you talking about? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't made it to that one yet. The Ben Thorpe stuff, he's a bozo, man. I just don't see. I just don't understand. I don't under. Again, I've talked about this before. Whatever we can call it autism. You can call it whatever you want. Whatever that wiring is that I can see that other people, you know, that Ben seems to operate on that certain wiring with other people. I just don't, I lack it. I don't have that. I do not have that wiring. I'm not wired for people like Ben Thorpe. I don't get it. But intellectually, there has to be something there. I'm like, okay, there has to be, but what is it? I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. But yeah, you're on the list, Crumley. So thanks for reminding me. There you go, Roy. Yeah, yeah, Roy, you can be honorary. Yeah, old and grumpy. That's right. Boy, y'all seen it on here the last few days. Good Lord, man. Yeah, I was in Isla Vista, California, I've spent a lot of time out there in the winter, and there were these older guys that I would talk to in the mornings. And finally, one of them just said, "Look, man, I'm old, and if I'm fucking cranky and in a bad mood in the morning," he was basically like, "We think you're a decent fella, but you got to leave us the fuck alone. Like you're coming over here all positive and happy and shit in the morning. Like we can't fucking deal with it." I was like, "All right, I get it." That's kind of. But then I started looking at myself that way. It's like, shit, I'm probably kind of cranky too in the morning, which is true. Oh yeah, let me get the headphones. Welcome back, Christos. Are you powered up?
Yeah, sorry about
No worries, man. It happens.
whatever noise. All of a sudden, my phone was about to die, and I was connected to Bluetooth, so I was probably. What happened? Was it like super choppy sounding, or was it like a abrasive, loud, quick noise?
There's a brace of noise, but I just take my headphones
Huh.
off, so I didn't really hear it. I'm
Right.
I'm
Okay.
I'm quick on the draw, taking the headphones off. Very important. Yeah, very important.
You know that. Speaking of being quick to the draw for taking headphones off, that's exactly how I was. The last couple times that I experienced DMT, I was so quick to throw my headphones off because once that stuff really started kicking in, and I was hearing that weird universe dog whistle thing, and everything was starting to hit. I had to throw my headphones off because I couldn't even try to listen to the music because this ringing noise was so overpowering. It's just I don't know. When you said being quick to
Hey,
the
I got to take
draw,
this call.
almost
Sorry, they're calling me.
yeah.
Sorry
Go
about
ahead.
that.
Uh, what I was saying to everyone though is being quick to the draw on the headphones. I know all about that. That's for sure. Can't literally rip those things off my ears and threw them and just laid down and went into the experience because there's no way that you can even try to divert any attention. Honestly, um, when you're going in with that stuff, you want to be there with the experience. I guess you could. I mean, it's different for everyone, different experiences, but the times I've done it with how intense it is, you can't be bothered to even listen to music or frequencies or anything. The music and frequencies are going to be coming through and hitting you for real, like realer than real. You don't need to add any music to the experience. It's going to have music itself. That's what people don't realize. They haven't experienced it. But yeah, what's up, everyone? So, since Benton is taking the call, I'm just here at work. I'm on break. I think Benton said he was eating as well. I'm not sure. I know he stopped. He's not driving right now, so I assume he's taking a breather and getting some food in. But I was glad to hear that Benton is feeling better. He said he was feeling 5 to 10 on this ratio or the pain scale the other day. It sounds like he was bounced back
Yeah,
fairly well for the time being.
yeah, it was amazing. Amazing.
Wonderful. Yeah, all it was, I made like a long-winded point about, or as you took the call, DMT and how the sounds that start coming in are so like overpowering that you can't be bothered to try to listen to music because the sounds that you're hearing and feeling uh, just they take precedent.
Yeah, I have done DMT once, and it was quite an experience, I must say.
You could think, oh, I'm gonna take a walk and smoke some DMT, or I'm gonna listen to this music, or I'm gonna watch this video. For people that don't know what they're doing, you know, being kind of ignorant with it. If you try to do an activity like that, more often than not, you're gonna turn that TV off. You're gonna lay down. You're gonna rip those headphones off. You're gonna, if you're walking, you're gonna have to like stop and sit down. You don't have time to pay attention to like external, um, inputs,
Yeah, you're
basically from
definitely
this world.
transported somewhere very bizarre. Is the best way I could put it.
Yeah, it's like it's you have like a very quick lightning strike of an ego death to some degree. You might remember who you are, kind of, but often you get shifted into that place of consciousness where you could be in your own room still, but there's starting to be hieroglyphics on the wall, and there's weird ethereal light beings that are like dancing around in your house, and it's like that you're like still here in this world, but so much starts to get overlaid through the noises, the sounds, and the visions that it's very easy to dissociate from this world, and you could be like looking right at your room, all your familiar surroundings, but like that within the snap of a finger, um, it's like you get at least 50% of your ego stripped away. Yeah, it's intense stuff. I like how all this came from you talking about being quick to the draw on taking your headphones
Yeah.
off. You making it sound like it's a holster and a gun.
Well, I mean, it kind of is because my ears hurt, so I'm trying not to have my ears hurt for the rest of the day. But I'm old now, and I've damaged my hearing with like loud music and stuff over the years.
I was about to say, like,
Yeah.
like concerts or like surround sound stereo or headphones. Like, did you go to a lot
Loud,
of concerts when you were younger?
it's loud music, and like in my room because I had where I'm
Oh,
in my
okay.
bedroom, I was able to really crank it up. But then we did stupid shit like I was in the high school band, and I would go in a little room and play like beat on a drum with no air protection, just like.
Ooh.
No, yeah, no, I didn't even think about, oh, this is probably not a good idea. I just did it.
Mm-hmm. I remember being young, and my older sister had like a boyfriend in high school that was in some band or whatever, and his younger brother would be going at the drums in the basement. And I just remember being a kid, and like I was being invited down there or whatever to like listen to him, and I was like, oh, I'm good, I can hear it from all the way up here. I didn't
Yeah.
even want to walk down the steps because it was so loud. I could just hear it so clearly from upstairs. I'm like, I'm not going down there, it's so loud. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
as a kid, I always was sensitive. The fireworks, someone on the drums in the basement. It's like I knew that, just that hurts my ears. Like, no, get away from that sound. I don't want to engage.
Oh, your audio's getting a little funky again. I'm not sure what's going on. Just FYI. JG's he's desensitized us all to crazy sounding audio, so we've lost JG though. Anybody notice that? I haven't seen JG around here in a while. I guess he's moved on to greener pastures.
He's an enigma.
He is. I agree. Very much so. Very much so. I tried to make him the co-host of the show, but he big time me and said no. Yeah, that's all right though.
Are you eating lunch?
No, I'm making notes. Yeah, I'm making a list of the OGs of the channel in the context of a grassroots, ad hoc grassroots. We're talking about community development from the ground up, from the bottom up rather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get these ideas and I don't really know what they mean, but I know they mean something in a context. So I'm sort of fleshing all of that out as we speak. But now I seem to be making a list of inclusion, which will necessarily people will be excluded. So now it's like, well, wait a minute. Just whoever's here right now will end up like now. Ginger Ridge is on the list. I'm not sure how long Ginger Ridge has been around, but does it even matter? It's here now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a man, I guess. I'm assuming everybody's a male until proven otherwise. So. Yeah. I guess I don't know. Who knows, man? Who knows? But yeah,
I heard you're gonna collab with Paul.
Yeah, I'd like to. We'll see. I'll figure something out. Definitely. I seem to go through these creative. It's like an ebb and a flow with the creativity. So he seems open to it. So I think we can figure something out. Hopefully.
I like the sound of that. I'm feeling extra inspired today because I went to bed at like 9 o'clock. So
Nice.
Yeah. Compared to the night before where I went to bed at like 12:30, because I think I was telling you about the alpha brain stuff. This Porin stuff. It's a nootropic I was talking about the other day.
I drank some of that like late at night. I'm pretty good for the most part about not drinking caffeine late in the day because I know how that works and gets you into a bad cycle and messes up, the hormones and the whole brain chemistry and your just whole overall energy. So I took the Alpha Brains because it doesn't have caffeine in it. But even if it doesn't have caffeine, I downed it. Next thing I knew, I was smoking. I took like some valerian root. Like I was getting ready for bed, but then I took this nootropic, like right after I took the valerian root, and I was smoking. Normally it's like 9, 10, 10:30 or so, and my body's getting ready for bed. But this Alpha Brain like kicked me into overdrive, so I'm tired, but then I'm like really in the zone at the same time. It was like this weird in between liminal state. It almost felt like I was sleepwalking or something, or like lucid dreaming, because I had this focus and awareness from the nootropic, but my body and brain was also, creating the natural melatonin because it was getting dark out, and I'm pretty good about not exposing myself to blue light. But anyway, yeah, long story short, I'm drinking some more of this Alpha Brain stuff right now. 2 nights ago, I drank it, and it kept me up to like 12:30. And the whole point of what I'm saying here is I definitely felt it yesterday. Going throughout the day, my energy level was just like not the same. I try not to drink too much caffeine. But yeah, basically comparing the day that I went to bed at 12:30 2 days ago to last night going to bed at like 9:20, 9:30 or something, slightly after 9. The difference is night and day. No pun intended. I mean, truly, man. Like that's something I'm not ashamed to preach to people, is the going to bed early thing.
Oh, yeah, it's great, man. It's great. Yeah.
I'm glad that you're on it too, man. That's
Oh, I've been doing it
what's
for a
up.
long time now. Yeah. Now at your age, I wasn't, but yeah, I love going to bed early. Oh yeah, best thing ever. Some people are actual night owls though, like my dad. My dad's 20 years older than me, and he seems to be like really amped up in the afternoons and the evenings. He's he's worthless in the mornings, but so we all kind of have our own norm. I mean, seriously, like don't even try to talk to the guy before noon. But yeah, uh, and it's funny because then I'm wanting to go to sleep at like 6, so we got like a 6-hour window to actually, be able to communicate, which I think is kind of
Oh
fun.
yeah, that definitely adds a dynamic to everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Barney. I don't. Jeff's. I'm not in on Jeff at all. Yeah, we got some Paul enslaved drama coming up in the live chat, so I'm trying to strike this balance between just like ignoring it, but I want to refer to it, but not get all carried away.
Well, hopefully there's gonna be some.
Are you at the library, Christos? Are you at the library, Christos? We lost your audio. I don't know what happened. Maybe he got shushed. I don't know, Chuck. Man, I mean, at a certain point, it's like I just can't get involved in this. But I hear you. I hear you, Chuck. That may very well be true. And also, I do talk about people. I mean, so it seems a little counterintuitive. I'm personally do my best to avoid anything that's gossip, and that seemed a little gossipy there, Chuck. I'm just being just shooting it calling it like I see it, Chuck. This is a little gossipy there. Just saying, man. Just saying.
Mic check. My bad. I was taking a phone call.
Are you in the library, sir?
Yeah, it's where I work.
Oh, awesome. Nice.
Yeah,
I love libraries. Yes,
yeah, it's
sir.
a library within a church where I do
Oh,
cleaning.
oh, excellent.
But I was just saying, yeah, there was some fun the other day with Paul and some others going over to Ian's channel yesterday. But like I was saying, my energy levels were just like not there for real. So I didn't talk like 95% of the time. I had a couple things I interjected with, but I really wasn't that fiery, and not that I need to be. I was just really just kind of sitting back and listening. And it didn't help that I was smoking a lot of reefer
Oh
last
yeah.
night, and just like throughout the day when I got back from work. So it was Ian's hit the link challenge. So I was gonna bring some fire, or you know, hold his feet to the fire, because there's a couple things that you know, I could take up with him, and some what's the phrase? But I have some bones to pick, you know, and so some axes to grind with that guy. But
Yeah.
I really just let other people, you know, talk their shit, and he's going live again later today, so I can only assume that Paul's gonna restream him again, and
Oh yeah.
I think we're gonna have some fun again today. Um, I can like hardly remember last night again because I was smoking so much, but especially since I went to bed early tonight, you can bet that I'm gonna be over there. I'm gonna give Ian a piece of my mind, and yeah, it was fun yesterday, and damn, I don't even know what the point I was gonna make now about oh, I'm sure Paul's gonna restream again today, and what was interesting is OTW. I don't know if you know who OTW is. OTW News.
I'm
Um,
starting to figure that out. Yeah, I'm somewhat tacitly aware. Yes, sir.
yeah, he well, he's really been coming with a different energy recently, and doing some making some respectful moves. And I think a lot of people in the unslaved community, or maybe not a lot of people, but some like key people in the unslaved community are seeing that a little bit.
Yeah,
He's
I've
starting to
noticed
come
that.
correct,
Yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, you got it.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I definitely there's definitely most people are just not open to actually being like, oh shit, I've been wrong, and maybe I can come a different way. So just somebody who's willing to change their approach in that regard, like that's it's so rare. It's almost like what, like somebody's actually doing that, you know. So
Pleasant
that's
surprise.
yeah, that's I like to see that for sure.
Me too, especially because um, I was really vibing with OTW when I first came on here, and honestly, I still like the dude and his energy. A couple weeks ago, I thought he was acting like a passive aggressive uh, bitch, you know, and I basically told him that, and I was telling Ian that, and you know, there was this drama and whatever that was going on, and just within the past week or two, it's been evident that that OTW has been shifting his energy and like humbling himself, and he went on Z's stream today, and you know, just was real humble, and he's been changing his tune, and I appreciate that because I don't want to be like not cool with OTW because of like community divisions and lines getting drawn with, you know, this community over here is cool with this community and not this community, and just the whole like interweaved web that ends up getting spun just through all these interactions in the metaverse. So yeah, there's the sands of time have been shifting, and the quote unquote timelines are definitely shifting, if you want to use that terminology. So it's getting interesting. I like where things are going, especially with getting to talk with OTW on Z's stream earlier. Um, it felt really right, and you know, hopefully we can have more of this resolution, which seems to have been coming, even if it's taken a little bit. It's definitely happening with some people, like we see with OTW, and it's a step in the right direction for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's what I've talked about on this channel is that I'm very pessimistic, and I think I might have said this to you before. I'm very pessimistic with the masses of humanity, but individually, I'm very optimistic. So, you know, that's reinforces my own ideas when I see somebody, yeah, that's willing to be like, oh, okay, well, if I want to be in this, if I want to interface with these people in this metaverse on these levels, maybe I'm the problem on some level, you know. Which you know, I'm critical. Sometimes I need to change my approach also, but I found that, you know, the fact that I'm willing to just say, yeah, that was fucked up, and I should, you know, maybe I should do things differently, or hey, I was last week I was sure that I was using the right approach, but it turns out I was mistaken. that's so rare to see somebody else do that. So it's like, yeah, I'd love to see more of that for sure.
Yeah, a
Yes,
lot
Greg.
of people are in their egos.
Well, and then see, this is where I have I've run into where I want to strike a balance between the conversation, but then my own actual beliefs is, I think I hear a lot of people on, and I don't mean you, I just mean in general. A lot of people talk about ego, but then I don't think they understand humility. Like, how much have they really explored humility? Because it's hard, not you, again, you're not doing this. But when other people talk about ego, especially if they try to apply it to me, I'm like, but a lot of times I can tell the person using that phraseology probably doesn't know as much about humility as I do. And I'm talking about at a direct experiential level, not at a like reading some stuff in a book, which is okay. But it's like, to me, the best way to understand my ego is to really understand humility. It's like, go to the opposite and then figure it out from there. Because
Yeah,
like
people don't have humility.
well, and then like my experience with my personality has been, I get so full of myself and big headed, especially back in the old days. But I've noticed a pattern where it's a constantly, I'm getting full of myself and then I'm humbled. I'm humbled every time. But then I always go back into getting my head expanded. I get the big head, is what we used to call it back in my day, and then I'm humbled. Like, so now when I get big headed, I know, okay, I'm like, well, okay, here comes the humbling. I don't know where it's coming from, but here it comes. Like, that's the pattern. So I've come to understand that the actually being humbled process, which I think as soon as, and I think Krishnamurti said this in his book, The First and Last Freedom, I believe. He said, as soon as we try to seek being humble, we can't be humble. It's not something we can go out and overtly attain. It comes to us, it happens to us, And I don't think a lot of people have. That's the thing, is Jack Talcott, he can go his whole life and never experience humility. That's up to him. He doesn't have to. He's free to reject that he's being humbled. He doesn't have to accept it. And I think that's what you see, is he's just not willing to accept anything above him and that could actually humble him. What do you think?
Yeah.
And I've said this before, and it sounds like a joke, but that live without fear, you cannot attain those levels of delusion and be in a fearful state. That the fear will limit the level of delusion that the person can reach. He's the all-time greatest at delusion because he probably doesn't have fear. He probably doesn't experience it
without it.
Yeah, it's not good, man. It's not good. Like, I ended up getting I think they were giving me a good assignment. They called me and said they were. So that was based on me, my own fear that the company was going to view me negatively if I didn't call them first. But I could have just been in no fear and just like not work this weekend. And then when they were like, "Hey, Bozo, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you let us know that you didn't have an assignment?" You see what I'm saying? Like, a little bit of fear is healthy in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not supposed to just never experience fear. That's crazy. That's mental illness.
Generalize. Actually, I don't know how I was going to articulate that. Yeah, most definitely. It's like, maybe we don't have to call it fear, but it's something that's very on par with fear. You can call it concern or caution or whatever. And that's the thing too, is like, it's disappointing to see how people don't see nuance, and they can't discern like nuance, it seems, within some of these types of things, and like a single word is just going to trigger them, like God or fear, or what have you. People have these very broad associations and connotations with certain words, and they lack the ability to detach from preconceived notions and judgments and look at things dynamically and see that there's nuance within different words and topics, and not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and not to disregard something that could be very profound, powerful spiritual knowledge just because it might have some type of association with a religion. In the moment someone hears a certain like key word that might be spiritual in nature, but maybe it has some crossovers with religion. Next thing you know, the person's completely disregarding the idea slash ideas because there's been a word or phrase brought about that holds personal connotations for them, that keeps it from the truest, objective accuracy of what's being discussed and explored.
Yeah, your audio has got tough again, but like with Talcott, what's interesting to me, one of the many interesting things is that, he has attained this spiritual knowledge, but it's all intellectual, but he can't practice any of it. He's not able to practice any of it. So, and I think Paul's really been making inroads, at least intellectually, with Talcott, pointing, and this was on Ian's stream, and I really, again, if I had my computer, I would be able to play it and respond to it, but now I'm depending on my memory of the conversation. But Paul has been able to basically say, yeah, it's bad, Jack, that you don't have an ego. This is a problem. You need to have an ego. The fact that you can sit around and do nothing, the fact that he can sit around and do nothing and really believe he's on Paul's level, yeah, that seems like ego, but it's kind of the opposite of ego. Because like, why, why isn't he going out and doing shit in the real world? He could. I'm not saying he should drive a truck. I'm saying that there's all kind of things this guy could actually be doing. But he has this intellectual, he understands things very well intellectually. You can tell because he's able to convey the ideas, but he's never practiced any of it. So the fact that he can't practice it, of course, he thinks he's on some high level of attainment. Because I think he's interfaced with the material and he just believes, well, yeah, I'm just doing all of this. It's like, no, you're not doing any of it, which kind of probably seems like the same thing. It probably kind of seems like the same thing. Oh, so I just naturally do all this. Like, no, you don't do any of it.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Am I coming in clear?
Oh, yeah, you're good. But so, I get a kick out of just watching those dynamics where it's like, I can really see what's going on with him. And, Paul has done a really good job because, hardly anybody can actually just put up with Jack for very long. I tolerated him for, dude, I went off on him on Yurt's original channel. Like the second time I ever saw Talcott, dude, I figured him out immediately, and I just went in on him, man. I just went right in on him. Like, what the fuck is this? But now, in over time of observing him so much, I can really see, like, he's the prisoner of all those things. He's trapped. That he suffers the most from all of these things that he's suffering. That he can never move past these obstacles. It's not possible. It's literally impossible. Can never happen. And I think that's what people really think, that there's just, if they continue to talk at him, eventually they'll get through. It's like, no, it'll never happen.
Yeah, he's going to have to learn the hard way, it seems.
He can't learn the hard way. That's the whole point. It's not possible.
Wait, what do you mean?
He's unable. He cannot become introspective. He literally cannot become introspective.
So
I think my dad's the same way, man. My dad has a very similar psychology to Talcott. See, I've learned all this because I'm, in order to have a relationship with my dad, I had to, because he was a very toxic, just like Jack has this problem with his son won't have nothing to do with him. I wouldn't have anything to do with my dad for a long time. And dude, great. By the way, the guy raised me right. He was in the home every day, made a good living. Like, he did everything right on paper, but he's got these same personality issues that Jack has. And so for me to be able to deal with my father, but protect myself from being damaged and abused, psychologically, I've had to figure out how to interface with him, which I've done, by the way. But a lot of it was by understanding his psychology. And Talcott has the same psychology, man. It's scary. I think a lot of these guys do. But yeah,
cognitive dissonance.
But the thing is, I spent a long time, because they seem very receptive to any sort of therapeutic they seem like, see, here's the thing is, for somebody like Talcott, as long as I'm willing to engage with his personality, he will engage with me. But so part of doing that is he sort of lures people in, whether he knows it or not. He seems like he's willing to accept some sort of therapeutic intervention, although he'll never go to an active therapist. But unless he's made to. I think he said he had to because of his job at one point. So he will make the people like me who might want to talk to him about psychology, he will interface with me on those levels. My dad used to do this with me. And eventually I realized, oh, this guy's never, he knows how to mimic behaviors of receptivity, but he's never, ever receptive. He's never receptive to these ideas. And he just never is. And eventually, if you pin him down, he just lashes out. He'll just eventually lash out in anger, which is what Shaq does. Finally, when they get him into a corner, his emotions are so infantile, then he lashes out because he's lost control of himself. And that's also a way to get people off of him, is to be, to sort of attacking them, right? It's sort of, that's how he gets them up off of him, which is fair, by the way. I mean, they are kind of coming at him disingenuously much of the time, but and I have a theory that he's suffering from an existential crisis, such that he has to come on these panels because nobody will have
100%.
because nobody will have anything to do with him in real life. And that I believe that at his level of his infantile emotions, that it feels like to him, if nobody talks to him, he fears that he will actually cease to exist.
Well, that makes sense what you're saying completely, because he's always saying, "Is this real? Am I real?"
Yeah.
Because he's on the verge of what you're talking about. Like his whole like identity is gonna collapse if he doesn't run with this circus that he's engaged himself in on the metaverse. And there's another point I was gonna make, but you said a couple of things there. Yeah, he damn, I had something.
Well, and the truest thing he ever says is eventually, like if Paul's like, well, what are you doing here? And he's like, I have to be here. That's the truest thing you'll ever hear him say. He does. He has he has no choice.
He said straight up that he's looking for validation.
Well, yeah.
He's literally said that, like, he wants to find someone that will listen to him, or, be a witness and validate where he's coming from. Or, I forgot exactly how he said it, but he was basically saying, and it's not a stretch at all for what I'm saying here, he basically said that he's seeking validation out here on the metaverse from these communities and from Paul specifically, because no one in real life wants to talk to him or have anything to do with him, is what he's been saying. It's like he says it out loud, like in front of himself, and he doesn't even realize, like, he'll voice the problems and he won't even realize it.
Yeah, he can't realize but he can't. That's what I mean about, he thinks he's a spiritual guru because he can't have a spiritual practice. So of course to him it seems like he just is some kind of savant at understanding these things. I mean, let's just take him at his word that he's reached some kind of level of spiritual attainment. How did he do that so quickly? Because I worked on myself for like 10 straight years, and I'm not anywhere near the level he claims to be at. So, what is this? Like, that's not logical, man. Doesn't make sense. But then I finally figured out also on the Ian stream, and I think that's the first time I've ever seen an actual stream on Ian's channel. I watched the part of the replay, but what I think I finally,
last night?
I believe so. Yeah, I'm not even there, dude. There's so many I can't even keep track. But what I figured out is what I think, and I posted this in the comments. What I think the whole Paul versus Jack comes down to is Jack is trying, whether he knows it or not, he's trying to use all the spiritual mumbo jumbo to just sit around and do nothing and have his lifestyle provided for by other people. But Paul is operating at a level of effectiveness in the real world. And Paul's basically like, hey, man, if we're out here getting shit done in the real, he's not saying it, he's implying it. He's like, hey, man, if I'm doing shit in my life and you're not doing anything, why would I carry you along? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, that's what he's implying. That's the message. He's not conveying it that way. But so if Talcott was able to be humble, which he's not, then he would be able to be like, in the moment, be like, oh shit, he's got at least say he's got a point. You don't have to agree. But it'd be like, yeah, you're right, I'm not doing anything. But see, Talcott can never humble himself. He can never become humbled. So he can never just be like, yeah, you're right, Paul, I don't do anything. Because he doesn't. He does nothing other than talk. And yeah, I talk also, but I talk, but I also do a lot of shit in the real world. So does Paul, by the way. Now, you can say, oh, he's sitting around in the trailer, but he's demonstrated effectiveness in the real world. Let's see now, Clay's extra dense. Shout out to extra denseness, by the way. I would say I'm not here to defend Paul. I would say that based on my observations, he's demonstrated that he's able to move forward in life. Whether you think that's limited or not, the fact is Talcott, if we accept what he says at face value, he's stuck. He can't go nowhere. He's literally, and he's talking about being happy because now he's not going to get kicked out for 2 more weeks. And he's like in a state of glee because, and my dad used to do this. He would get stuck in these situations where you could tell that like he needed to do something, but he would just get stuck where if he could just put it off and buy time, he was happy. Happy as a pig in shit, man. Yeah. He shouldn't be happy. See, the way I think, if I knew that, okay, in 2 weeks, I got to get out of here, I'll probably be out in less than 2 weeks. I'll probably be like, fuck it. I might as well just peace out right now and just go ahead and face the world. He can't. He's stuck. Shout out to Truther Cop, by the way. Oh, man. Anyway,
Yeah,
that was my
some interesting stuff going on here recently, and I'm liking the collision of worlds. Seeing different people from different communities overlap into other communities they might not otherwise ever see or visit if it wasn't for certain characters that work as the links between these different communities, which could have like no association, but it could be that 1 or 2 people that kind of go in between some different communities, and some of these bridges start to form, and people will say, oh yeah, I think I might have seen you over on this channel or this stream before. I've seen you out here in the YouTube communities. I love the overlap. It's very interesting to see how some people go to certain places and not others. And some people, you see them everywhere. Or,
yeah,
one
absolutely.
person you might be one person might be the least expected person that you would think to see on a certain stream or community, but then there they are. So yeah, it's honestly an awesome thing, the overlap.
Oh man. Did you see the comment there? Sorry to cut you off, but
You're fine. I was done. I do see that. It's
Yeah.
an iconic face of his as well. Like it's like he's like thinking or like disappointed or confused or appalled by something that's being said. Like he's thought about it.
And I don't know if you can fix your audio. I'm willing to deal with it, so I'm just letting you know that it's
Oh, my bad.
But we'll deal with it. But at some point, I've actually replayed I've got the Talcott. See, Yurt's channel's gone, but I used to save all the live streams, so I have like his first 9 live streams on my hard drive somewhere, or actually on somewhere. Yeah, I think it's on my dead laptop, but I'll figure out how to get it off of there. I did used to be a computer expert, but I think he's going to come back hopefully. But at some point, I'm going to replay when I first talked to Talcott on Yurt's channel, and I think Christos will really enjoy seeing that how that interaction went. It was very interesting. Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Well, yeah, how I get back to Christ, because obviously you're not able to do that, unfortunately, Jack. You're not able to you're not able to progress spiritually. So of course you think that you're at the highest level of attainment. Because like the Tao might say, or the Tao, my understanding of Taoist philosophy would say that, no attainment and total attainment is kind of the same thing, right? On one in one sense anyway, it'd be equidistant from the middle, right? It's like no practice is the same as like all the practice. I don't care. Yeah, sure. Jump in. Thank you, sir. Well, I mean, and hopefully that's why, because sometimes I wonder why do people come over here and listen. I mean, I really do. Especially when I have 4 days in a row when I'm sick and I'm really not about anything, but I'm still doing live streams. But yeah, thank you, Stephen. This reminds me. I was like, oh yes, I do actually bring some things to the table. I forget sometimes. Again, it's like, yeah, I'm egoic and full of myself, but I literally have to be reminded sometimes that I'm actually halfway decent at this. But thank you. Yeah. Oh man, yeah, Talcott, man. Well, there's definitely more to Talcott than met my eye initially. So as much as I say I figured him out right away, I really didn't because I'm still figuring him out. So I'm sort of talking out of both sides of my mouth when I say that. But thank you, Stephen. I will take that compliment. I am powered by compliments on some level. So, and apologies, Moose, and shout out to Moose, by the way. Yeah, he's exact. That's the key, Jack. He can never. Sorry, Chuck. He can never be reached. It's not possible. But he's very, and that's the same thing with my dad. He's very sophisticated at mimicking these behaviors to make you believe that he's receptive. But if you actually watch the pattern, he's never receptive. Receptive meaning taking the correction and then working it into his own being and then acting on the correction, right? He will never do it. He's not able to. But he's very, very sophisticated and astute at mimicking those behaviors. Same thing with my dad. So I just don't engage with my father on those levels because I've noticed this dude, he's almost like an expert level, like a black belt at he can take whatever I'm shooting at him, whatever I'm directing his way, he can take it and sort of spin it and weave it in a certain kind of way and then give it back to me and make it seem like he's meeting certain standards that he's just never going to meet. So my thing is like, I've just let it all go. And I'm just like, all right, man, whatever. Like, I'll just look at him sometimes. I'm just like, okay, like, do we really have to pretend like this is a thing? Or can you just accept that I know exactly what's going on with you, buddy? So like, do I really have to pretend, But yeah, I do, unfortunately. But it's worth it because that's my dad and he raised me and, he did right by me and I don't have no animosity towards him except for the Music Calls a Secret was bringing up there was a shooting at the Jehovah's Witness at a Kingdom Hall in Germany. And I was raised up in that cult. So other than what my folks did to me through the Jehovah's Witness religion, they did me right. Other than that, yeah, exactly. It's just real. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that he isn't what the thing is. Okay, let's just assume that Talcott is exactly what he says he is. That he's given true information to the best of his ability about his living situation. He's in a state that has some of the. If somebody's determined to stay in their home, Washington State is one of the hardest places to get somebody up out of their house. It just is. So if this was Arkansas, they'd have got him out long, long ago. So who knows, man? This could go on for years. I think it has been going on for years, as far as I can tell. And then, like I saw in an episode of Hoarders, these people finally, this hoarder lady, she'd had this successful business. She had this mansion filled with all this nice stuff. She was this hoarder. And finally, her house got auctioned off. These people bought it at auction. And they were so like lefty, touchy feely that like they were trying to work with her. They let her stay in the house. They let her stay in the house and they were paying for the place. And eventually like Hoarders TV show shows up and they had actual psychologists involved. It was like two men that were together, a homosexual male couple. And they were so like kind hearted, they couldn't just boot the lady out. And finally, with the help of psychologists, they finally realized, oh, this bitch is crazy. Like this lady's mentally fucking ill. She's never gonna leave. So we're gonna have to kick her out at some point. That's Jack, man. He'll just never just leave. They're gonna have to kick him out. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go, Sense Sphere. What's up, Provo Kid? Always good to see Provo Kid in here, as much as whatever that's been. Yeah. But Provo Kid, I will challenge you a little bit. I was catching up on the latest Get Chalked Up. There's so many streams. I'm still catching up on replays, but EBT understands me very well, and he said Benton would not be a good moderator. It's like, no, that's not my skill set. I can do conflict resolution, which means if you, Provo Kid, have a conflict with somebody else, I can speak with each of you separately. I can figure out, okay, here's exactly what the problem is. Here's what Provo Kid would need to have this resolved. Here's what the other person would need to have. then I could come back to each of you and be like, okay, here's what it is. If we can compromise, good. If not, everybody's just going to have to go their separate ways. I'm great at that. I have no desire, nor would I be any good at actually like moderating a panel. In fact, I don't know if you've noticed when there's people on the panel here, I can barely even get a word in edgewise. It's not what I'm good at. No. Could I come on and maybe like yell at people? Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Jack is a life coach, exactly. Well, I mean, that's who you go to for life coaching, right? Is somebody without a life. He can also coach you to not have a life. Yeah. Well, and I'm the one that called him out on his website. I went and read his fucking website. I actually did a live stream. One of my early live streams was me like laughing. Was me playing my appearance on In a Yurt with Books when I went in on Talcott, and then it was me playing that, and then also like reading from Jack's website. And yeah, that's what it was, man. Oh, are we? We're taking donation. Good. Fantastic. Well, and negative attention is still attention. And Paul has, not Paul, like I previously stated, Jack has to have these interactions. He has to have attention. I really believe it is this serious. I mean, it sounds like I'm making a joke because it is kind of funny, man, but I think he really does have a very childish, irrational fear. Oh, that truck's clean. It reminds me, I'm way overdue for a truck wash. I'm not going to have time to do that. Yeah. I believe he really at a very childish, infantile level. It feels to him like if he wakes up one day and nobody will talk to him, that I think it really feels like he will cease to exist to him. I know it sounds nuts, but I think it's that serious. I really do. What's happening? Made man EBT in the house. Thank you, EBT. I was just telling Provo Kid that you do seem to understand me. And you were like, Benton would not be a good moderator. And I was watching that. I'm like, yes, EBT, you're right. I would be terrible. I can't even get a word in edgewise on my own channel. How the hell am I going to moderate something? That's crazy. I could do it like I could be on a computer and moderate that way as far as like clicking buttons. But yeah, no fucking way. It's not my skill set. No, he believes that. Dude, he believes that. And I figured it out today right here on this live stream. He believes that because whatever's wrong with his brain, he cannot have a spiritual practice. He cannot make progress spiritually. It's literally impossible. So to him, of course, it seems like he's some ascended master because I think from his perspective, he thinks he just read all this material and he put all this intellectual knowledge in his brain. I think he really thinks he's practicing all this stuff. I think he thinks that. So he's just like, well, yeah, I must be Jesus because like I just read some books and he thinks he's just like, yeah, I just it's like riding a bike. He read a book on how to ride a bike and then he just started riding a bicycle better than everybody else. I think he really believes that. It's fucking crazy. So of course he believes he's some ascended master. Why wouldn't he? Look, man, I don't even, I think ultimately Jack is fine except for, well, he's not. I mean, he's never going to be fine. I'm just saying, I think if this is just my opinion, you either got to leave him alone or just accept him for who he is. And the fact is he's never, and I think this is where we get to with Paul is he's just not, I don't think Paul's willing to interface with people in that regard as far as, I can't speak for Paul. I'll speak for myself. I don't want to have nothing to do with people in the real world or even in a content creation scenario. I don't want to have anything to do with people who have no ability to be effective at the level of getting shit done. Jack has no ability to be effective at the level of getting shit done. If you give him a goal or a task and give him a deadline, the deadline will come and he will have done nothing. Literally nothing. Which is fine, except, I don't even like the term co-create in this sense, but you can't co-create with somebody like that. You can trot him out on a live stream and just fucking wind him up and pull the string back and let the string go and then let the mouth move. You can do that. that's a thing, but the rest of it is a fucking non-starter, man. But yeah, I'm fascinated. Yep. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and that's what we said. I don't know if you were here earlier. That's what I pointed out in Jeep Girl was that you cannot reach the levels of delusion that Jack has reached without fear. So I believe Jack is the all-time. He's the greatest of all time with depths of his delusion, and that uh, there's not possible to become that deluded and also be able to experience fear. I'm not sure he can experience fear, at least not in a maybe in the viscerally in the maybe viscerally if somebody broke into his house and inflicted violence upon him possibly, but dude, otherwise I don't think he can experience fear. And when I was talking about fear earlier around my job, I was more talking about anxiety, which is a form of fear, I would say. It's just that little bit of thing that nags at me, like, hey man, like these bozos at your company are going to go home for the day and it's Friday, and then Monday's going to roll around and they're going to, they may not say anything to me, but they're going to wonder in their heads, like, why did this bozo just sit around? Like, what's wrong with this guy? Why did he just sit around all weekend? Because I am going to make, like $500 over the weekend. Easy. Well, except for New Mexico's probably going to inspect me for the fourth time. But other than the inspection I'm facing, and actually I probably should go pick that trailer up today, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do it when I wake up in the morning, and I'm just going to hope there's nothing wrong with it. So if there's something mechanically wrong, I'll have to drag it down here and try to get it fixed. Drag it back down here. Yeah, I agree, Land of the Blinded, but see, I tie it in with the Yuri Bezmenov, the supposedly former KGB guy who in like 1985 was talking about all the progress this covert communism has made in America, and he was saying, I could take somebody he said I could take an American to the Soviet gulags and show them exactly how bad it is, and he said they'll still never believe it could happen in America until the military boot crashes into their balls. That's the way he said it. So yeah, until something actually happens to Talcott, yeah, it's just, and will it ever happen? That's the thing is that is kind of a reinforcement of his own worldview. The fact that he's where he is now, right? He's living in the now in a house, apparently, right? We can debate whether he's not some sort of agent or whatever, but accepting him at, if he is what he says he is, I mean, there's no evidence that anything bad's ever going to happen to him, right? Seems to me. So I can say that till I'm blue in the face, and he can just be like, "Hey, man, get out of your imagination." And he's right, by the way. So I mean, what do you do with that? Fucking crazy, man. I don't know, man. You might be right, Moose. You might be right here. He says some rich woman or dude will get suckered into paying for possibly. And my father's, by the way, when I said Talcott and my dad have a lot of similarities, my father's shown an ability to do this, but he does it in the context of a romantic relationship. But he ends up giving as much as he receives. But they extract their pound of flesh from him emotionally. It seems like he does become an emotional punching bag. I've noticed, which I'm not geared for that, so it's hard for me to relate. But yeah, my father seems to have an ability to get people to at least provide for him materially. So yeah, Jack, maybe he will. Maybe he will. I don't know that. Who knows, man? I don't know. There you go. Yep. Actually, I'll spend the money for the Ozarka. Yeah. I don't like the Crystal Geyser, actually, for some reason. I just go by whatever my body feels the best. And this is $1.68 for 3. This is 3 liters, by the way. This is not a gallon. But this seems to be and there's another brand that they have out west that has the same style of bottle. So well, and we got the big mouth, that's good for I am broadcasting from Gallons of Piss Studios, lest we forget. Shout out to Piznog, by the way. Yep. Yeah. You're right. Land of the Blinded. And look, if Jack, and I think this does sort of prove that he cannot become introspective, because if he had any ability for self-deprecation, dude he could make a living as a content creator, I believe, but he not without some hint of self-deprecation, some tiny, which you never see. He's not capable of the slightest little tiny bit of self-deprecation. He can't do it. That's all it would take. And that's, by the way, a lolcow. That's what makes him a lolcow, is they can never figure it out. And so you saw the big lolcow of the last year or so was this stuttering John Melendez, formerly of the Tonight Show, and then before that, Howard Stern show. And he became such a big lolcow, but he never could figure it out. He couldn't become he couldn't, well, now he did some stand up comedy, so he could mimic self deprecation, but it wasn't true self deprecation. But he finally just took his content off of YouTube. He finally just realized, and he was making a living through donations. Literally, he was doing terrible fucking live streams. But like the haters, what he called the haters dude, people were making a living on YouTube just by poking fun at Stuttering John, literally. And he finally just said, fuck it, I'm out. And he just left. He just completely left. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's got some money saved. I'm not sure, but he's not on the internet as far as I can tell. He might just be behind it. But see, they were even taking his paywall content and restreaming it and making fun of it. And he's such a bozo that he paid for lawyers and thought he could he thought he could strike people's channels and sue people. He tried to sue content creators because he was like, oh, that's copyright material. It's like, yeah, man, it's fair use. Just because you put it behind a paywall doesn't mean that they can't do a reaction video to it on YouTube. That's not how it works legally. But of course, some bozo lawyer's happy to take his money. There you go. Well, that's the way to do it, right? Anyway, but yeah, I'm writing off my emotional problems of the last several days. Although it is the demon of wrath, and that's part of it for sure. But I'm just going to write that off, based on my illness. So I'm off the hook now. Yeah, there you go. Where is this? This is from Texas, though, even though it's called Ozarka brand. Yeah, Piney Wood Springs, Wood County, Texas, wherever that is. But yeah, I don't know. Bro, if I could learn Spanish, I would fuck off to Mexico. I'm not even kidding. In a heartbeat. Or I'd probably drive a truck here for 6 months, and I'd live 6 months out of the year in Mexico. I'm not even joking. But I don't have the brain to learn another language at my age. And I'm not gonna go live in Mexico and just speak English. That would be too gauche. Is that the word? Gauche? Now I gotta look that word up. Make sure I'm using that properly. Which a gaucho is cowboy, right, in Spanish? Yeah, gauche, lacking ease or grace, unsophisticated and socially awkward. Yeah, especially with a southern accent. But yeah, I'm not going to go live in Mexico and not be able to speak Spanish. That's crazy. Uh-oh. All right. I don't go on 40 too much these days, but yeah, you might see me up there every once in a while, Moose. That is the only interstate that runs all the way through my home state, though. So, yeah, I do claim I-40. The 40, as you might say, Moose. You on a road trip there, Moose? Moose, always feel free to call in and catch us up on your life, by the way. I know that sounds sarcastic, but I just sound sarcastic. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not being sarcastic. Yeah. Imagine being a white man in the hotel business, by the way. That's got to be a bizarre, it's got to be a bizarre experience. Not in a bad way, just bizarre. Yes, sir. Exactly. Who are these podcasts? Yeah, and there's a lot to be learned through the whole Stuttering John deal. And you could say a lot about Stuttering John, but there's something to him at the level of his resilience and toughness. I mean, he did defeat Crazy Cabby in that boxing match, lest we forget. I mean, as much as Stuttering John's life has become a train wreck, I mean, look, that's a lot of us. I almost drank myself to death. I mean, a lot of us have seen our lives completely go off the rails, in the last several years. But hey, shout out to Stuttering John for just fucking off. And as far as I can tell, he's not on the internet anymore. Now, I guess he's got to be out there somewhere, but kudos to him for just fucking right off. Like I said, Talcott ain't got that option, man. He's stuck. He's stuck. Eventually it's like, at what point? And Paul is sort of treating him with love on some level by just, I won't have nothing to do with him. He's welcome to come up here, but I'm not going to really engage with him. I'll just listen to him and be like, all right, man, have a good day. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to get beyond the surface level with me. It's just, I've already gone there with him. It's like, why would I even engage? So sometimes when I see people just like yelling at him, it's like, yeah, I yelled at him too, but like, don't y'all realize that this can never bear fruit? Like, this is like, no, you cannot get anywhere with this guy. So just why even try? So yeah, he's welcome to come up here and I'll just talk his nonsense. But like, what am I going to say to him? But yeah, so yeah, kudos to Stuttering John. So I do respect him just taking his ball and going home on some level. I don't know what Truth or Cop thinks about that. That was some great content being, Stuttering John, he was not, he wasn't trying to, he didn't realize that he was putting out great content, but it was great fucking content. Dude, some of that stuff, like some of that, dude, I can't even recap it here. Oh my God. And by the way, Truth or Cop, if you're still listening, shout out to Benton, who a year and a half ago, probably a year ago, I don't know how long ago, was trying to get through to these bozos chalk body outline and EBT that, hey man, YouTube has gone to a new format. You guys are transitioned to a new format and you don't realize it. And I don't think Drew's admitted that I was right about that yet, but I was right, Drew. By God, and you see it. This is the new format, and they were doing it with the Stuttering John stuff that was already happening like a year and a half ago. Yeah, that's what I was just poorly. I was not conveying my ideas very properly, but I was right. Damn it. So yeah, just so you know, Truth or Cop, I recognized that something was happening in these so-called truther communities. I seen it. I seen it before a lot of other people seen it. All right. I summoned him. Oh God. I can only imagine.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming in hot, but sounds good. I like it.
How's that?
I like it. They can turn their volume down if they don't like it. It sounds good to me. Yeah, it's pretty hot, but I like it. You're good.
Turn it down.
Perfect.
What's up, man?
Oh, I was just, I don't know, rambling.
What was this shout out to Crater Earth that I saw earlier?
Oh, he dropped a new video.
That's your boy or what?
Yeah, I love that shit, man.
Did you watch it? I didn't see it yet.
I don't think it's my attention span, and I think you're right when it's basically entertainment. So there's parts of it where I just completely tune out, but there's other parts that are very engaging. So I just sort of listen to it and just go with it. Yeah, it's good stuff. What do you think?
I
haven't
watched
checked it out
maybe
yet?
the first 5 minutes and then my phone died. I was out driving around. I didn't realize my phone was almost dead. Now I got I'm waiting for the tow truck to come grab my truck here, and the brakes went out.
Oh shit!
I might
Your
have
pickup?
to cut it short. Yeah. I mean, I
shit.
probably could drive it up to the shop, but I'm not even gonna fuck with it.
Oh, it's not even. Yeah, don't even. Yeah, why bother?
What I saw you on Paul the other day, but then I never got the chance to go back and I kind of just pop in and out for a second, and then I never got the chance to see what did you say when you were on there.
Oh, not much. I just had some. Well, I yelled at Austin Murphy that one night, and then Yurt played that clip. But then there was people trying to stir up drama in the live chat, so I just showed up to basically let Paul know that that was just some bullshit. more or less. Yeah.
What was were they talking about when you were talking about Paul from the Bible?
Oh, I don't even remember. I say so many things in so many places. I don't even remember what the hell I've said where.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. No, I'm not a fan. I'm on record. I'm not a fan of Paul from the Bible. Yeah.
They probably heard that and probably thought you were talking about Paul enslaved.
That's possible, actually. Now that you think, you know what? See, yep, you're right, Drew. That's very very astute. I'm abusing that word lately, but yes. You know what? That's probably what it was.
That probably is what happened, I bet.
Holy smokes. Yeah, it's just a pure misunderstanding. Wow. Huh. See, I immediately imputed nefarious motives onto these people that may not have actually existed. That's interesting. Huh.
I found this one channel I've been watching recently. Let me see if I can find the name of it real quick. But they basically they show all these like sovereign citizens in court and everything like that. They kind of make fun of them. What's the name of it, man?
Oh, I love that. Is it Frauditor Troll, or it's one of them Frauditor channels?
No, it's called something Skeptic or something.
Oh, okay, I know what you. Yeah,
Sovereign citizens.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it right now. I'm looking through my history, but it's pretty funny. They make fun of them, but at the same time, there does have to be a little something to it, because there was this one guy, there was this black guy on there, and he was so like well spoken in the court. What happened is he was in the court and he did all this shit, and then it was a Zoom court. So then he waited until the end of the Zoom call, and then he argued with the judge again after that. That's what kind of got him fucked. But then the judge rescheduled the whole thing, and then there was a second Zoom call, and he did the same thing the second time. He did his whole spiel the first time, waited until the end of the Zoom call, fucked with the judge again, and then the judge was very cool. The judge was like, if you talk one more time, interrupt me one more time again, I'm giving you 30 days. And then, of course, he did it. He interrupted him. But up until that point, he wasn't able to get Team Skeptic. ABT says, yeah, that's what it's called. But he was able to, like, the judge would not answer his questions straight up. So there's got to be something to it. You know what I mean? Like,
there's definitely something to it.
Yeah, this judge in 2 30-minute videos, like, would just dance around this question.
No, sorry to interrupt. These judges are experts at not getting themselves in any kind of liability.
Yeah,
that's their main expertise.
My tow truck's here right now. I'll try to come back after this. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I think is the main expertise of the judge, is understanding how to keep themselves out of trouble. I mean, I really believe that. So I think Drew and I would, again, if I had a computer, we could just watch the content, but I guess I'll stop my whining. But based on my understanding of what Drew just described, it seems like the so-called sovsit, which again, that's just a handy term to use, because we all know what we mean when we say that. So the person who would be viewed as a sovsit anyway, well, I know that they're not necessarily that, right? Although, anyway, that's debatable. But they were trying to pin down the judge to answer a specific question, to sort of possibly, now there would be grounds for maybe a lawsuit or making a valid complaint against the judge or whatever, some sort of judicial, misconduct or whatever, right? Or maybe even just to try to make a legal argument. And the judge, knowing, okay, I can't answer this question, or it's going to be bad for me personally, which is obviously, we can talk about, the judge it's his job to be impartial. It's his job to do this. He's just like everybody else, he or she, by the way. There's a lot of female judges. The judge is just trying to go home at the end of the day. The judge wants their paycheck. The judge wants to stay in good standing with the bar or whatever organization, they go through to be a judge, and they are lawyers first, right? So the judge knows how to keep themselves out of trouble. Or if they don't, eventually they're going to run into the wrong person and get bozoed up, right? So, of course the judge wouldn't allow themselves to be pinned down. And I've seen that in a lot of videos where I can tell that the person is sort of trying to maneuver things in a certain type of way, and the judge knows that that's happening, and the judge is able to keep it under wraps. And then the less evolved of them, the ones that don't really have control of themselves, sometimes they get angry and just start yelling and shit. I've seen that happen also. So yeah, that's but you're right. That is what happened. People, when I said fuck Paul, but I meant Paul from the Bible, and then they thought I meant fuck Paul enslaved. But I say so many things. For all I knew, I said fuck Paul in a context, meaning Paul enslaved, but I probably didn't. I thought maybe I just said it tongue in cheek. And my thing is, oh, you're not going to blackmail me. I'll just call your bluff. So it's like, oh, you're saying that I said this thing? Well, I'll just say it. Right. So that's what happened when I went on Paul enslaved. He was like, because he mentioned me, and then he was like, Paul said something about, well, basically, if you're talking about me, I said, well, yeah, I talk about you all the time. Yeah. But like usually in the context of ideas. Right. So it's kind of like, oh, you think you're going to see, I perceived that I'm being blackmailed, but really I wasn't. It was just a misunderstanding. That's fascinating. Fascinating. Oh yeah. Yeah, there you go. Which is fine, by the way. We don't believe in sacred cows, just so you know. There's no sacred cows. I think that's one thing me and EBT and Drew all have in common. We're not going to do the sacred cows. No, sir. Mm-mm. Yeah, there you go. Chat's on fire today, man. Hell yeah. Shout out to you, Hater Dave. Half the planet. That's right. Oh, it's great. Yeah, yeah. Drew had to go handle. He's a busy man. I don't know if y'all have noticed. Drew's a busy man. But Drew, by the way, low key, not even low key. I mean, he gets. I think I went to it was like 1.5K views, I think, on his last live stream on his backup channel. And he had 100 in the live chat. So without really probably even trying. I mean, the guy's got a skill level. Let's be honest. He hates compliments, so I have to say this while he's not here. So Drew's allergic to compliments, but yeah, he certainly has a skill level, and the numbers bear that out. By the way, us smaller channels, we can pretend like we're fucking punk rock and we're, flying under the radar or whatever. But look, I'll take 5K subs or whatever Drew's up to. Damn near 7, I guess, 6.5, 6.66. Yeah, I'd take it. I kind of like my 315 though, because maybe there's less pressure. But now we get into a fear. What is that? Fear of failure? Yeah. What's up, Layla? By the way, good to see old Layla in the chat there. Yeah, I never did. I actually never replaced brakes myself either. I'm pretty sure I could. I just always found it more convenient to just pay someone. But yeah, again, I'm sure my dad has changed some brakes at some point. That's part of what I say when each generation sort of is able to do less and less than the one before it. And his dad probably just like rebuilt an engine at some point and didn't even think anything of it. Probably didn't even think it was a big deal. Never mentioned it. Like, oh yeah, of course. Rebuilt the engine. Oh yeah, I'm feeling much better. So I'm back to my base level of illness, which is I'm quite happy at my base level of illness. It's not a bad place to be at all. Yeah, see now, yeah, they are, man. See, this is now we get to this. See, I don't have a problem, Maceo. See, I don't have a problem with the shit stirring necessarily, but this is a complete non sequitur. They know that I called them normies. This is not like secret information. And I think sometimes people think, oh, no, I said this to their faces, brother, like virtually. I said this to them. I didn't like come on my live stream and call them normies. No, I said it. I made a video and I added them in the title of the video and called them normies. So yeah, this is all well known, sir. But thank you for trying to do whatever you're trying to do. But again, now here I am imputing nefarious motives where they may not actually exist, as I'm wont to do, as it were. Well, it's like 3 Benton cliches in a row. We'd have like the cliche counter, Benton cliche counter in the corner. And now Amazon's trying to sell me things through the app, and they can't even do what they told me they were going to do, leaving me high and dry without a computer. Oh yeah, I got an LCD screen. They delivered that. I thought that was stolen at one point. It showed up. The old 15.6 inch LCD screen, $99, by the way. Yeah. What's it got? Yeah, it's got USB-C, I guess that is. I'm sure you can't see it. Yeah, my it's too shitty. My camera's too shitty. And mini HD, I think. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it works. I already threw the box away. It's not like I'm going to send it back if it doesn't work. Probably it does. Yeah, the technology is very affordable. Very affordable these days. Oh, and wireless keyboard and mouse. But man, I was for what I paid for it. I'm a little surprised it's as chintzy as it is. Even the box is chintzy. Well, this is not going to be a reusable box apparently. Look at this thing. Bozo the keyboard. Yeah, ridiculous. You can just tell it's got the stench of cheapness all over it. But it'll work till I buy something better. Oh, I haven't even looked at the mouse yet. It's got to be garbage. Yeah, the mouse is total garbage. Oh well, such is life. You win some, you lose some. Yeah. Oh, I know, man. That's yeah, dude. And because I'm from the old days, I remember, dude. My dad earned a good living, and we used to rent a VCR, well, a VCP, a player. We used to rent a player from the video store to watch movies. Like it was actually more based on how often we used the thing. It was actually more cost effective to rent the player when we went to the store to rent the movie. And now it's just basically free, more or less. Yeah, e-waste exactly. Yeah, yeah. A bozo keyboard for a bozo. You're right. I type 80 words a minute though, so I need something. That is one thing I'll say about the ThinkPads. They do have quite good keyboards. Shout out to Croco with his fucking mic on a stand on his desk and just with no headphones, just banging away on his keyboard. Shout out to Croco. Yeah, 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 you're right. I got to do better. Do better, Benton. Yeah, Benton needs to do better. Well, I'm gonna wait around and see if Drew comes back, I guess. Yeah, JG doesn't come around here anymore. I don't know. I don't know if his psychological attacks have failed and he's moved on to, better targets or if he just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Yeah, he might have. Yeah, he might have just learned the word Jezebel, Jessica. Possible. I don't actually, Chuck. It's interesting though. You know what? I probably saw that as a kid. I do have some memory of some video players back in the day, but I wouldn't have been. I was so young, I wouldn't have known what they were. I remember playing. I went to my friend's house when I was like little bitty kid. They had that ColecoVision and that Intellivision, which is like, dude, if you Google that shit, there's just like these primitive video game systems. It's laughable. Or go watch because some of these nerds like to go buy these old systems from the olden days for whatever reason. Uh, get these old games and stuff. Terrible, man. Just terrible. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah, it's a waste of money, but it'll work. Like I say, it'll work until I get something better. I didn't realize how much keyboards cost now. Or a decent keyboard is like pretty expensive. I would probably stop the stream here, but now I'm kind of curious to see if Drew's coming back or not. So we're just hanging out. Yeah, well, I think it'll work. The screen, that's the thing, for 99 bucks, dude, some decent percentage of those things got to be DOA. I mean, how could they not be? So yeah. And I already threw the box away, so it's not like I'm sending it back to them if it doesn't work. It's just be $100 loss, I guess. It's not even worth the time and aggravation to print out a shipping label and go stand in line at the UPS store. Hell, I went to the post office yesterday in the big truck because I don't have I don't have a car, and just getting to the post office is a big fucking deal in my line of work. That's hard to do. Mailed out some money orders. Yeah, you're right. You're right. No, I'm aware. Believe me, I'm aware. I almost kept the box, but I'm like, dude, really? Like, I mean, there's just so much stuff in here already. I guess I could have thrown it in the side box. Yeah, there you go. We don't. Well, yeah, probably. Yeah, Coles. I didn't know that, so that's a good tip. Yeah, you're right. Coles. It's a good idea. Need to overcome my own laziness. I don't think I've ever returned anything to Amazon ever. Yep. Now we're to the crowd. We're down to the crowd work section of the broadcast. Treading water till see if Drew comes back. Let me. I love my thumbnail though. My turtleneck, fucking with my head up, looking through my bifocals. Say, what the fuck, man? Look at this bozo. Yeah, there's a lot of UPS stores in Dallas Fort Worth. None of them, unfortunately, none of them are conveniently located to the terminal. I had one in the past with a different company, but I also had a car, so it made it much easier to drive to the UPS store rather. Yeah, that was back when I was buying a lot of ammo, having a lot of ammo shipped. Yeah, that's right. Well, it's again, man, it's called living in a truck. So yeah, there's some benefits to having almost no bills. Yeah. Yeah, you're the one with the money, RT. We can see that. Weren't you talking about playing golf or something? Not that, I played golf also before, but yeah, you don't have to be rich to play golf. Yeah. RT looks like he might be playing golf, having some business meetings. I mean, 100 is kind of like a 20 used to be. I mean, really, isn't it? I mean, I can remember $20 being it's a lot of fucking money. Now it's $20. I'm just like a $5. It's like $5. Here, take it. I don't want it. Just here, just take it. Who cares? Well, thanks, Hater Dave. I don't act what the iron. It's not even irony, but I actually don't I actually don't use a CB. But yeah, I hear you, man. I definitely seem to have the ability to drone on and on and on about various topics. So yeah, appreciate you noticing there. Yeah, I used to listen to the truckers. I had a CB for a while I had a '87 Chevy Suburban. It was my father's actually, but that was when gas was $1 a gallon. But even then, $40 to fill that thing up. That was a lot of money. I was in college, but yeah. All of these retail stores used to give me credit. So I think I got that from a Montgomery Wards who had given me, I guess part of their strategy for trying to stay in business was to give people credit that should not be given lines of credit. So I'm pretty sure that's where I got my CB and antenna. So yeah, we used to listen to the truckers sometime. Well, oh, that's an excellent question, actually, Ginger Ridge. I want to think about that, actually. I don't think I want to just try to answer that off the top of my head. Well, here's what I've said, because the South is a lot of different things. So, you know, in cities, yeah, I think so. In cities, yeah, absolutely. Um, because who lives in cities, especially downtowns of cities? I mean, you could just go, dude, somebody from California could go move to Little Rock, Arkansas, downtown, but the thing that's going to astonish them is there's no grocery stores. Like you have to drive out of downtown to buy groceries. And yeah, you can ride the city bus if you want to, but it's not what a Californian would consider public transit. Yeah, there's a bus from downtown to the grocery store and back, but you're not going to want to ride it probably. And that's not a good grocery store. So like if a Californian moved to downtown Little Rock while they're downtown, yeah, that'd be completely fine. But then they're going to have to get in their car and drive 15 minutes to Whole Foods. And we don't really have traffic, but it's not a pleasant journey, right? If you have to go during peak hours, again, it's not traffic like a Californian might. Let's just say Southern Californian, because there's all different types of Californians, obviously. But yeah, I think there'd be too much culture shock. And I've talked about this on stream before, and this is a great question. I like this question a lot. I kept hearing like there's this guy Caleb Hammer, which that can't be his real name, right? But I guess he's a millennial, and he does these financial audits, usually of people around his own age. He might be a Zoomer, I'm not sure. I can't tell really, but he lives in Austin, Texas, and somebody from California, somebody on his show, in the context of this financial audit, brought up the possibility of moving and mentioned Tennessee. But this was somebody from Southern California. But the fact that he said Tennessee, no, he's not Tennessee, it's Nashville. Because he could, as a Californian, he could move to Nashville, and yeah, it's going to be an adjustment. But dude, he can't just go move to fucking random ass Tennessee. It's going to be too much culture shock. It's a bridge too far. I'm telling you, there's no fucking way, man. Not going to happen. Yeah, exactly. Dollar General. But yeah, he could move. This guy it was a young person from Southern California, wanting to move to another state in another region of the country because he recognizes that he'll never be able to buy a house in Southern California, certainly. It's just probably not going to ever be possible for him. But yeah, he could afford a house in Tennessee, but he's thinking Nashville because he's from Southern California. It's one big gigantic, it's concrete jungle. And if you're not in the concrete jungle, I mean, even like the Inland Empire or something, it's like it's all more or less concrete jungle. And if not, it's not very far to the concrete jungle. So it's like he's probably thinking that the whole state of Tennessee is like Nashville. It's like, no, it's not. There's Nashville, and then there's the rest of Tennessee. You got Knoxville, to a lesser extent, I guess, but no, no, it's not. So I don't know that Californians even have an understanding of what it's like other places. And then, because I've been all over to them back roads of Tennessee, man. It's just a whole nother fucking world, man. And those little towns, yeah. Can somebody from California go buy a nice house in some small rural area in Tennessee for $150,000, $200,000? Yeah, of course they can. But for somebody who's from the South, and I've been to those little towns, that's not accessible, man. There's not I guess they could show up at the local church, but even then, dude, these people aren't going to have anything to do with them. Now they'll be nice. They'll be nice on a we're polite, bless your heart level. But my uncle, who grew up in my hometown, right, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, but that was the second largest city in Arkansas. So to the country folks who live out in the county, that's the big city, which is, well, actually Little Rock would be the big city, but like my hometown to them is like a city. So this is what my uncle said. He said, man, I've lived out, because my uncle lives out in the country now, out in the county. He said, man, I've lived here for over 30 years. These people will never fully accept me because I'm from the city. Meanwhile, he's from Arkansas. He talks like they talk. He fucking hunts and fishes like they do. Dude, he's from where they're from, more or less. He's from the same county, but because he grew up in the city, they will never fully accept him. So, I mean, I think on some level that does answer your question, Ginger Ridge. But yeah, if they're willing to just go to the cities, yeah, sure. I mean, there's plenty of southern cities that people from California just go stay downtown. Yeah, it's fine. Now there's going to be there's going to be adjustments, culturally, obviously. But yeah, as long as but most of these people are going to want to try to move to more rural areas. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you. Dude, I've seen California plates all over I-40 in Arkansas. They're not stopping. They're stopping for fuel and for food, and they're going to keep it moving. The Arkansas, Mississippi, these parts of Tennessee I'm telling you about, that's going to be the last places these people attempt to move to. It's just not a thing, man. There's no fucking way. Yeah, I believe it, dude. That's crazy. I love Memphis, by the way. Yeah, Memphis is Memphis has a lot of problems, obviously. It has a lot of woes, but I love Memphis. It's a great city. Yeah, but culturally, I'm from a very similar culture. Yeah. And by the way, I didn't mention Memphis when I said Tennessee. They're not thinking about moving to Memphis. Believe me, they're thinking Nashville. They're not thinking Memphis. But yeah, the white suburbs are nice. I agree. And people get along for the most part, and the white folks and the black folks seem to get along in Memphis for the most part, from what I've seen. And downtown Memphis is safe. You know, the hood not so much, but you can go downtown in Memphis and it is safe. Downtown is anyway. I don't know. Is he truth or cop? Not sure. Don't know. Yeah, man. That exactly $80,000 house. Shout out to $80,000 houses. I could still find an $80,000 house in Arkansas, but again, I'm able to culturally, I'm able to fit in culturally with these people. Like somebody from another part of the country is not going to be able to move to an $80,000 house in Arkansas. It's just not. There's just no fucking way. It's just not a thing. It's a bridge too far. I'm telling you. Well, again, Crumley, I'm my hometown in Arkansas is very similar to Memphis culturally. So I'm speaking as someone who, they can kind of tell that it's like, well, they can sort of tell that I fit into some degree. Yeah, I'm not recommending that people go to Memphis. I'm just saying based on my own experiences. But yeah, if somebody wanted to visit Beale Street or whatever, is that what it's called? Downtown Memphis, or go to Memphis in May or whatever. Yeah, it's completely fine. It's safe. But otherwise, watch your ass. What's changed? I'm getting behind in the chat. Now I don't like Nashville, man. Yeah, Nashville's jumped the fucking shark. Austin's jumped the shark. Austin used to be badass. Austin stinks now. It's awful. Ugh, terrible. Yeah, Austin used to. I'd rather go to well, downtown Fort Worth's probably actually my favorite downtown. Downtown Fort Worth very underrated, by the way. Um, but I'd rather be in DFW than Austin, which is saying a lot, man. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of DFW. I don't know, man. If you're a tourist and you're spending money, I mean, these people are not idiots, dude. Bring your money. Bring your money to the cities. You know, just gotta stick to the script. I'm just saying, don't try to move there. I guess is what I'm saying. And if you're going to move to the white suburbs he's talking about, by the way, it's still expensive. And EBT knows this. It's just not as expensive as like the Chicago suburbs. It's all a matter of degree, right? So yeah, it's not like the nice white suburbs of Memphis are affordable. They're just less expensive than some other cities. It's basically expensive everywhere. But yeah, because I can culturally live in Fort Smith, Arkansas, I could, or Van Buren, Arkansas, the sister city. Yeah, I could have a decent. You could buy a decent house there for $100,000. Decent, I said, decent. But your neighbors are gonna. It's gonna be a fucking shit show. Oh, nice. Yeah, I forget that some people have Fort Worth connections. Yeah, I forget about that sometimes. But yeah, Fort Worth. There you go. I like Fort Worth. It's not bad at all. They got 35 all fucked up because they're rebuilding the whole thing. Other than that, it's not bad at all. Downtown, a lot of interesting architecture downtown. Actually, downtown Fort Worth's got some interesting. Dallas, not so much, but yeah, downtown Fort Worth, interesting architecture. There's some hidden gems in Texas. Actually, just there's some hidden gem places that are fun to visit. I found. Yeah, yeah, Deep Ellum. Yeah, I saw one of the. I've seen very few live music shows, but I met a gal on the internet on IRC in like '95, I guess, and me and her went and saw Ween at somewhere in Deep Ellum. I don't know. I'd never been there at the time, but it's a good show. That was their probably their most famous album was out at that time. So yeah, been to very few live shows, but that was one of the few live shows I've been to. I saw Ween at some music venue in Deep Ellum. with a gal I met on the internet. I met on IRC. Crazy. While I had a girlfriend, of course, but whatever. Then one of my bozo friends ratted me out while I was gone. Of course, women are. This is when I was very oblivious that women are pretty intuitive. I'm sure she knew something was up when her boyfriend just fucking randomly left for the weekend. Texas. But, I guess one of my friends filled in the gaps for. Ooh, now is that irony? That's the question. And I never considered that. I don't think so, but I guess that could be actual irony. Yeah, fuck Nashville. Not a fan. Yeah, they love the those are donks and sleds, right? They love Little Rock, same thing. They love these old American cars with the 454 engines or the 442s or whatever they are. Yeah, they love those cars for some reason. And probably in my hometown of Pine Bluff, but uh, there's less people that can afford a decent slab. I call them slabs sometimes too, I think. Yeah, shout out to Ween. Exactly. I like Ween. I've listened to that one. I haven't heard all their albums, but Quebec. That's a pretty good album. I've listened to that a few times. Yeah, that's a good album. Yeah, Quebec. hmm I'm slowly but surely getting into the Melvins also. That's not they're not a very that's not very accessible material I'm finding. And I always heard a lot about them, growing up. Oh, especially this, Nirvana, tie in with Nirvana there to some extent. But yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, Ginger. And this is part of what I do is the anthropology and the sociology. So yeah, and I've spent a lot of time in Southern California, although not Los Angeles specifically. But I love California, man. California's awesome, but it's obviously got its problems as well. But yeah, yeah, I've spent enough time in Cali, and I've spent enough time with Californians that yeah, for sure. Yeah, somebody from another part of the country might hear a Southern Californian refer to someone as a Mexican and might think, well, wait a minute, isn't that offensive? You're calling them Mexicans, and they're like, no, they're from Mexico. What are you talking about? Like they're a lot of them they drive back and forth like they're from Mexico. It's not a Guatemalan. I'm calling them Mexican. No, they're from Mexico, sir. Christos, the return.
Hey, do you know anything about the AI art generators that people are using these days?
I hear about some of these things, but I don't.
Yeah, I started using one recently. About a month back, I tried it out with the free trial, and then like a week ago, I actually subscribed now so I can start pumping out different AI generated art images. And I'm gonna just tell everyone this is something that anyone that's an artist or likes to do like digital art or just any art and creation of any kind, it's worth looking into a little bit. Um, because honestly, there's so much that you can do with it when it comes to building a brand or creating um, creating a brand that you want to like sell or some type of if you got a YouTube channel and you don't want to go pay someone to make your banner or make your logo, you can make those things with the AI art. Now you might have to learn the ins and outs of how to get exactly what you want because there's definitely a method to doing things. It can make a big difference based off the vocabulary you have and even the grammar and syntax. So it's deep. I'm still figuring it out, but it's super fun. And if anyone wants to just try it out for free, the one I suggest is Midjourney. I think there's a couple different AI art generators, but the main one I use on Discord, it's a bot you can use on Discord. You can use it for free. You get like 25 free generated images, renditions, and then it gives you the option to subscribe. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because um, I don't like how there's this wave of um, technocracy and how they're using AI for surveillance and all this crazy stuff, and how people think that's just inevitable and we're destined to merge with machine and all that. Like, I'm not down with all that transhumanist, um, uh, futurist crap like Ray Kurzweil and all that. I'm not down with that, but I
Yep.
will say I do believe we're definitely meant to like utilize technology as humanity, and AI is not inherently bad. We're doing a lot of BS with it, but I feel like these AI art generating like programs, bots, and services um, are actually like one of the good things that is coming out of all the technological advances that are going on right now. I'd say yeah that this AI art stuff, although it does have some repercussions, I feel like with actual artists that paint stuff or do stuff by hand. I don't think this AI art stuff will ever be able to match or live up to the real human individual artist. So I still want to support real human artists. I don't want AI to become the main mode that everyone uses. But for like small time content creators that maybe don't have the time or the money to invest in their YouTube channel, like it's a big endeavor and like they want to start making money through it or whatever, um, AI art generation is going to be allowing some shortcuts, it seems, in the path of the content creator. It's gonna knock out a lot of those things that originally you would have to go find someone to help you with to provide that service. Well, now that service is being provided by AI, so definitely a double-edged sword. Um, but I will say, man, I'm having so much fun with it because it seems to have unlocked a part of myself that I haven't had experienced creatively since I was younger. It's just it's addicting in a way. It's just so exciting to figure out what you're gonna generate next, and you know how the images that are generated very heavily depend on not only the keywords that you're using, but how you use them. How are you stringing together the words? How are you stringing together the sentences? It it plays a large role. Uh, you know, your creativity and your intelligence plays a big role. So it's not all the AI that's doing all the work. It's definitely, you know, it makes a difference if you have a creative, bright, imaginative mind. You're going to be able to make some pretty crazy stuff. Some people are going to make some really basic things. I've seen it. But some people are really doing some tremendous things with it. And yeah, I'm loving it, man. I can't lie. Like, I feel like one of those people that's like, oh, the future is here. You know, AI is the way. You know, all the people that are talking about crypto, NFTs. You know, the future is digital. I'm not on that. No way. I don't want everything to go digital and be put in this digital prison and everything is, uh, you know, operated through AI. That's not the way we're supposed to go. Like full on archetypal singularity. That's something they want to manifest, and I'm not down with that. But I'm definitely going to keep utilizing these artistic AI services, man, because it's just like it makes you, it taps you into your God self in a rudimentary form. It taps you into that that mode of creation, you know. And obviously, it doesn't have to be the AI through which we do this, but creating art in general it's one of the most godly things that we can do, to create something of ourselves, you know. So yeah, like, very very interesting times that we're in, man. I'm very curious how this is going to start looking within the next couple years with this AI art, cryptocurrency, and then NFTs, which is like, you know, the fusion of um, this whole like crypto stuff, the whole crypto world, cyber world, and then art and the fusion of them. So I'm not a big NFT guy or anything, but I do see that in some ways we do need to kind of adapt to the future without completely submitting to some type of technocratic tyranny.
Thank you, sir. You talked the perfect amount of time, and I was able to finish eating, so that was perfect. Thank you. But yeah, that's an interesting word, adapt. So, what I've contended for a while now is that's the number one feature of the human being, is that the human being adapts to its environment.
Mm-hmm.
So we are adapting, and we have adapted to some extent already. And you know, I think that humans will continue to adapt,
Mm-hmm.
especially
Well, yeah.
to the digital, because you know, and I agree that a lot of interesting things are happening. And you know, again, I have to remind myself that I am a full doomer in many ways, but well, I mean, it's true though. But
I see with your logo, yeah, with like your
yeah, that's and
aesthetic
that
of your YouTube.
well, I have the website nightmaredystopia.com. It's not online right now, but it will be back at some point in the future. And then I did a podcast. I did 56
Oh,
episodes. Yeah, I did 56 episodes of an audio podcast over there that was pretty well received, actually. And that
oh
was
wow,
mostly,
okay.
yeah, I covered the pandemic and a lot of the taboos that weren't being talked about. So I got a lot of traction just being willing to talk about things that really weren't being discussed that openly, at least, you know.
And
And
you're a real ass interesting person, you know,
well,
being a
thank you,
trucker
thank
and
you.
living on the road nomadically. I think that also pulls people in, that you have this genuine, authentic character.
Well, thank you, sir. And I do
Uh-huh.
want to remind you that I also lived out of a backpack for almost an entire decade. So there's also that.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Because I don't really like, I drive a truck for a living and I don't mind being referred to as a trucker, but I don't really view myself that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you're more than the occupation.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I kind of do view myself like as an actual homeless person and as somebody who traveled out of lived out of a backpack. Like I do identify with those ideas, but, and I am a truck driver on some level. I guess I don't view myself that way. But anyway,
Wow. Okay.
shout out to EBT. But it's okay if you call me a trucker. Right? It doesn't bother me at all. But EBT said things Benton can do. Oh, things Benton did. Okay, yeah. EBT likes to invent hashtags for me. Yeah. But yeah, and I think one of the interesting things for me is that, you know, especially being interested in sociology and anthropology, you know, even before I really even knew what those words meant, is, you know, I had an advantage, not even an advantage. It's more interesting to me because I can remember when hardly anything was digital, right? When I was young, there was almost everything there was some things that were digital, but most everything was still analog. And then, you know, by the 80s, you had like to me and probably most of my peers, digital was cool. You know, you wanted just the fact that something was
Yeah.
digital made it cool, right?
Uh-huh.
But then now you're almost seeing in some ways people are kind of returning to some of the analog things. Oh, that's cool, you know, vinyl or you know, an
Yeah.
amplifier, a tube amplifier or whatever, you know. Solid state electronics maybe, which is still some of that I guess is digital. So that's a combination probably. And I'm not an expert on these things by any means, but and then people are now kind of starting to rediscover CDs. They're like, well, actually, this isn't that bad of a format, you know. So CDs are kind of coming back around,
Oh,
and
for
that was
sure.
really cool, you know. Back in the day when the CDs came out, you know, that was like badass, you know. And
Mhm.
DVDs, of course, that was a pretty big deal.
From
So,
floppy disks to CDs.
well, yeah, and then I even had a laser disc player, which was hilarious. It was basically like a DVD, but it was the size of a record, like the size of a large record.
Mhm.
And you had to, if you had a cheaper player like I did, I had to actually flip the disc over. It was kind of hilarious. But video games, but then people talk about and we got Illumitami talking about the central bank digital currency. And just unmute yourself when you're ready. I don't know if sound like you're cutting something. But yeah, just unmute whenever you get ready. But Illumitami talking about the central bank digital currency. But like I like to point out, dude, most of the money's already digital. So it's like, as much as we talk about adapting to things, and as much as mentally we seem to, I think this is just my opinion. I think part of the adaptability of humans is that we do, even as we are adapting and have adapted in some ways, we still tend to mentally project a lot of these things into the future, even as they really are happening and have already happened to some extent. Digital money being one of those things. And I would like to hear if you have any response. So I'm going to unmute you. How about that?
I didn't know you could unmute me.
Well, only if I mute you, I think.
But
If you mute, I don't think I can.
oh, okay.
Yeah, if I mute you, I can unmute you. If you mute you, I can't. I think that's how it works.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but if you don't, you're not obligated to respond. But I don't know. Sometimes I can't tell if I'm onto something until if somebody's
Yeah,
here.
no, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Well, you
They just
feel.
want us to further implement it by projecting it into the future, even though it's
Well,
kind of
I
already
think
here.
that's how our psychology works. So I hear people speak in that terminology a lot, but then I'm like, well, wait a minute, like it's already kind of here too. I understand that when they say central bank digital currency, they're talking about like an actual currency on the blockchain and all of that. But dude, like most of the money's already zeros and ones in a computer somewhere, so we're kind of already there to some extent.
Right. Yeah.
So I think sometimes that gets lost in the sauce, but and does that even mean anything? Not necessarily, but maybe it does.
I'm I was really paying attention to all this stuff in 2020 and 2021 and some of 2022. Halfway through, I'd say I've stopped listening to the state of the world and exposing the new world order. I was really tapped in for a while and getting into prepping mode, and I think I still need to do a lot of prepping. Honestly, I kind of just stopped it all cold turkey and started getting back into psychedelics and art and like opposite end of the spectrum stuff. Actually, after a year and a half of it was almost 2 years. I wasn't smoking any cannabis, and then I started back into that during 2022. um, and yeah, it's been an interesting shift in who I am and what I'm doing compared to the past couple of years where I was becoming pretty hardcore about the whole truther energy. It was bad though. I was definitely becoming unhappy and resentful of a lot of the people around me, and I think I'm coming to that balancing back out now, where I've done uh, the high end and then the low end. I've completed the sine wave. I've done that sine wave process of one extreme to the other extreme, and now I can I think settle in between the sandwich of those two things now, and integrate it properly and balanced, where I can like be making art that is communicating truth about the world and the new world order, and it's going to be accomplishing both of those things I want to accomplish: making art but still living in truth and like communicating truth and not just stepping away from everything and just looking away because it's an ugly situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is what we were talking about recently was with my banner graphics for the channel being a nightmare dystopia. Well, your generation hasn't, and I don't want to talk about I don't want to get back into that stuff. You have an opportunity, from your perspective to take what's here and make something out of it. I think it's probably the best way to say it.
There's a lot of visionaries and what's the word? Not geniuses, but someone that's excelling. Uh, Fuck. Not bravados. Like what's another phrase or name for like someone that's an ace or a genius or just very
A savant.
able?
Or wait,
Yeah. That's
savant.
I don't know. Maybe that. I think that was probably what I was looking for.
Prodigy or savant.
Yeah, both of those work. Yep. There's a lot of there's going to be, and there already are a lot of savants and visionaries within my generation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I really think Generation Z is gonna. I mean, hey, it's a reason. There's a reason it's Z. It's the final letter. I think there's something special to it, Generation Z. And that's not me just being biased towards my generation. It just
No, I would.
seems
Yeah, I
all
would
these
agree with that.
entrepreneurs in my generation, You got it.
Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
No, I was just saying it's there's all these entrepreneurs in my generation, it seems to be. I was saying you got it. I yield.
Well, you don't have to yield, but yeah.
Well, to let you know that I stopped.
Oh yeah, I understand.
Like Word Wizard does and others.
Yeah, I get it. Because it's out, they're technically yielding the floor, but nobody ever says I yield the floor. I always found that interesting. It means something. I don't know what yet, but I'll figure it out eventually. Some things amuse me. So sometimes people don't realize I say certain things and I'm just like making a joke to myself. Sometimes it's like I almost think of like a movie, like some kind of a movie where it's like old times and like some guys like he's like I yield, but it's like in the context of combat or something. You know what I mean? Like it's got a.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you mean that. I just mean it's. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, say whatever you want. I'm not trying to be the language police. I just sometimes think if it bothers me, I know there's something there, but I haven't figured it out yet. And Paul's live now, by the way. So
it sounds like it's not registering in your brain, like
exactly. That's what it is. Because
using it.
Yeah. Well, intuition is knowledge gained outside of. It's knowledge gained outside of logic and reason. So I know it means something. I haven't figured it out yet. But so my intuition's telling me, hey, look at this. But I'm not that smart, so I may never. I'll probably figure it out eventually. Yeah.
I don't know if I understand. I'm not sure if I know what you're saying at this point about the yield thing.
Well, because you're yielding the floor. The floor means you're the person who has the. It's a metaphor for, like, if you were in like a lecture hall or something, and you like, you physically have the floor, right? So then when you're so you're giving it. You're basically saying, okay, I no longer have the floor, but because it's in a. We're not. It's in a. It's not in a physical context. You're not.
Okay. It's like out of place. I know what you're saying.
Well, that's what it means, though. That's what. But see, I think sometimes these meanings get lost over time. So, like, you may not have ever heard it in that context, but that actually is the context.
I totally know what you're talking about. I think it's.
Yeah.
Because it's not physical, because it's the metaverse. It's not. It's not the best way to go about using that phrase.
It is, I think, but I've never heard anybody say I yield the floor. But if you go watch some old movies or something, you will occasionally hear somebody saying that, but they'll generally say I yield the floor. They won't say I yield.
Right.
So it's
Okay.
funny how but it may not mean anything, but I just find it interesting that we've chopped off that second part of the statement.
We have
But I don't
adopted
know.
it into metaphysical terms.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. And it may be nothing. I get stuck on things sometimes, and it may not mean anything, but if it does, I will figure it out. How about that?
Autism speaks.
Thank you. Yes, yes, that's exactly what it is. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. But
Do do you have
go ahead.
other people make all your thumbnails?
Oh, that's Drew does that. Chalk Body Outline.
Well, that's
It's
kind
so
of him.
well
I
that
don't know if there's
well
other people as well.
no, but we've basically and it was funny when you talked about the AI art. I wanted to say, well, my AI art is I email Drew, and then he either comes up with something or he ignores. Well, he either comes up with something or he ignores my email, which is fine. I mean, I'm just glad he does what he does. But I choose to compensate him. Just that's my choice to do that. But I see where you're going. But in that me and him, that working relationship is based on I'm a fan of his visual style of graphic art. So I know that I'm not, at least not right now, I'm not able to get that level of output from AI. Now in the future, here's where maybe I could upload some of his art to the AI, and then maybe it would be able to mimic his style right now. So that now it gets.
Right.
I mean, seriously, like I mean, I'm not saying I would do that. I'm just saying, wouldn't that be possible at some point? If you're talking about deep fakes of Tom Cruise or whoever, why wouldn't the AI? And some people will even say there's no AI. Like I'm just saying, in the context in which we're speaking, if this is a thing, wouldn't the whatever that is that we're referring to as AI, wouldn't I be able to just like, hey man, here's 5 images. Now here's the parameters for the one I want you to make and do it in this style. Like why wouldn't it be able to? I mean, I would think it would. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a possibility with some type of something somewhere. Yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely something that's obtainable already, if not already soon.
Well, and then like I say, I understand that, I could even just teach myself to make my own thumbnails. I can teach myself how to do it, but I understand at a level of art and creative ability, I'm not going to be able to do it as well as Drew does, and I like his style. So there's obviously other graphic artists who could do as good of a job as Drew, but it's just something about his style that I've always liked and enjoyed. So, and it's actually he's the one that got me into even watching live streams, and in part that was because one of his thumbnails for one of his early live streams got my attention back in the day. So,
Oh
you know,
yeah,
there's
thumbnails are
something
a
to
big
that.
deal.
Well, and I like to think I know I have good taste, and I like to think I'm somewhat cultured. So, I'd like to think I have an eye for art anyway.
There's a couple different apps. Uh, yeah, there's a couple different good free applications. You can do you can do the fun basic things like cutting out the outline of your face or body and like copying and pasting you want to a certain background or just simple Photoshop
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
things. There's an app called PixArt, which is like super user friendly, and you can actually do a lot on there for free, like a lot. I suggest that to people that just want to get creative with thumbnails or uh,
Yeah.
digital art in any way with content creation.
Yeah, absolutely. But then, I think what we're seeing is, especially as I'm getting older, like in my younger days, I was willing to devote a lot of time and energy to learning how to use those tools. But so when I had a broken foot and I was in bed for 3 months, I learned how to make animated GIFs or GIFs, uh, and I did them on my
Yeah, GIFs.
laptop. Well, I mean, but that's the thing is I've been on the internet so long. It actually it's one of those in the eye of the beholder kind of things. It's
Oh
either
yeah.
GIF, it's either GIF or GIF.
Oh,
it kind of depends on the person. Like it's, you know what I'm saying? Like there's not any one
But
answer. What's that?
it is GIF. It is GIF technically, but I know some people call it GIF.
Well, but
Wait, I'm
what
not.
I'm
I don't think
saying,
I'm understanding.
it's always been pronounced both. It's always been pronounced both ways, and it's never been settled which was correct.
Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Wow, the great GIF debate. I need to look into this
Yeah.
more.
It used to be a thing. It used to be a thing, man, back in the day. But it's just internet nerd stuff. But
Yeah, GIFs are fun.
yeah. So I had nothing but time, so I learned how to use all these various programs, and I run Linux on my computer, so I learned how to use these various programs, these free programs, and I got fairly decent at making my own. I say GIF, so I got fairly good at making my own animated GIFs. Although generally people didn't really appreciate my GIFs. It was on the old like EBT's Discord mostly, but so every once in a while I would come up with a decent one. I tend to be a little too abstract sometimes in my approach.
Well, some of the best memes are the most abstract and nonsensical.
Yep. It's not my forte though. I am the meme on some level, right? You saw that thumbnail Drew made about the Zyklon Benton.
Yeah, exactly. And
I am the meme.
And you were saying that earlier with Jack Talcott. He needs to embrace his memery more, is something I've been saying.
Yeah, he can't.
Times in the past.
He can't.
He kind of has in some ways, but definitely not enough to make any like progress or improvement in himself.
Yeah, he has in some very limited ways. I would agree with that. Yeah, I will give a little ground there. Just not.
Well, yeah, definitely not enough though. I know what you mean.
Not enough. Yeah,
not
enough.
making any movements.
Yeah, not
making any progress. And he could really be doing some wizardly things and alchemizing all the people, making goofy profiles of him and using his old pictures and having the key phrases like holy and holy, brother, I love you, brother, and
well, and then
wizard, all these different things.
Yeah, why is there not a Jack Talcott soundboard yet? That's something I could do. I could just.
There is.
Oh, okay, good.
The kind of Paul has got a little thing going now with different clips from it. Like when he yelled "fuck you," he like screamed "fuck you" out of nowhere. Like when we were talking about him exploding.
Yeah, I heard that. So, but I mean like an actual like an app, or a file you can download and just actually, a real soundboard. Yeah.
Well, you can make like a real soundboard pretty
easily.
I know.
I know. I did. I've made them before. Yeah. Do you know this Jurassic Liars 26? You ever heard of that guy?
No.
Well, he's got a lot of famous catchphrases, and I actually made a song where I played this instrumental like hip hop track, and then I actually did it in analog. I made a soundboard, and then I just listened to the music, and I pressed the buttons in real time and made like a song with a bunch of his saying.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he saw it and liked it and commented on it. It was a video on my channel, but the song got copyright claimed, and in order to be able to go live, I had to actually private the video to meet the requirements to live stream. But I think I could unprivate it now, so I probably will. Actually.
How long have you been on here?
YouTube?
Yep.
Since it started. I've been on everything since it started, or I just never went on it at all. When I first tried to make a Facebook account, it told me I had to have a email address that ended in .edu in order to make an account.
What the hell?
Yeah, well, it started out as harvard.edu, then they opened it up to all .edus. And then eventually they opened it up further. But that's how Facebook started. I was on the web. I was on the web before they had a graphical web browser. When I first got on the web, it was literally all text. if you wanted to look at a picture, you had to type in a text command to download what was typically a JPEG.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy
I,
to
I
think
love the
about.
internet. I've basically been here every day since early 1994. I love the internet, man. I'm an internet person. I'm not a phone person. I'm not necessarily a YouTube person, but yeah, I knew about Netflix when they first started streaming on their site. You know, I've known about all this stuff. I knew about Bitcoin when it was you could just mine it and it had effectively no value.
Hmm.
It's like I'm tapped into all this stuff, but it's never like transformed my life. I don't guess. And I was pretty resistant to the YouTube thing because I didn't want to give my content to Alphabet, Google, YouTube's hell pit here. But here I am.
You've come a long way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whether or not that's a good thing, I don't know. But well, man, I think I'm going to shut it down.
That's
Appreciate
perfect because
you.
I'm about to have to do things at work here that are going to require uh, a bunch of noise. So yeah, I was about to have to go anyway. So that's great.
Yeah, man. Thanks for hanging out as always, and we'll catch up soon, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, keep it up. People really people like you in this thing you're doing, man. You had over 40 people earlier, so keep it up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm enjoying it. I like doing it, and I'm getting out what I need to get out of it, and then I'm a fucking asshole, just so you know. But yeah, you know, I'm doing my best here most of the
All right, man. I'll leave
time.
you to you and your gifs.
There you go. Well, and if you want to say gift, that's completely fine with me. All right, sir. It's good talking to you. Hope you have a great day.
All right, you too, man.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye.